Feeling Li Kuan's chaotic qi, there was nothing he could do. He suddenly thought, if one day he lost a loved one, what would he do? Emo shivered upon this thought. He would never allow this to happen. He needed to get stronger. After a long while, Li Kuan suddenly got up. Her face was extremely pale. 2 blood tears still hung on her face, but at least her qi was more stable. Emo, thank you. Pity we can't repay you? Li Kuan bowed deeply to Emo. After I die, please bury me with Fengxi. Emo immediately knew things weren't good. Li Kuan was about to suicide. Without hesitation, he sent tens of spirit sense blades over and hit waves of immortal essence on her, locking her immortal essence. Li Kuan looked at Emo in shock. She didn't expect Emo to be able to stop her suicide. His power was on par with her. She was a prodigy, and for Emo to be able to do this, he was far beyond it. What disrupted her sea of consciousness before seemed to be spirit sense cultivation method. Even if she was defenseless, it wasn't easy for a great extreme immortal to do this. In his disruption, this was all Emo could think of. No matter from which perspective, he didn't want Li Kuan to die. If she really died, he was gone. Even that little immortal king would find an excuse to kill him, much less Long Yu Emperor sect. Why did you stop me? Li Kuan's shock was gone instantly. She was thinking, why did Emo stop her from being with Fengxi? Emo sighed. First thing, if you die here, the first person you harm is me. Even if not so, I don't think you should suicide. Li Kuan just missed Fengxi too much before, and now that Emo mentioned this, she immediately understood and apologized. Emo, sorry. I didn't think of that. Emo nodded and then opened Li Kuan's immortal essence restriction. Li Kuan bowed to Emo again. Even though Emo sealed her immortal essence restriction and it was very easy for her to break free, she didn't do this. You goddess, let me finish. If you still want to suicide after that, I won't stop you. Emo looked at her and said, okay. Li Kuan nodded. The real culprit for the death of Fengxi is his father Fengchun. You should at least teach him a lesson, right? That man has lost his humanity. Emo looked down on Fengchun very much. Li Kuan said nothing. Emo knew what she thought. Fengchun was still her father-in-law. Okay. Ignoring him, your father is still alive, right? When your father took you away, did he not immortal ascend? Emo said. Li Kuan agreed, yes, my father probably ascended and he might be in lower heaven domain. I was planning to go find him after I reached Immortal King. Now, I won't speak of the dangers of the immortal realm. Even if you're from Emperor sect, you should know about it. If you die, your father might be living an even harder life. Of course, this isn't what I want to speak of the most. Have you heard about Truth Divine Emperor? Emo knew that she had given up on suicidal thoughts. He just needed to give her a reason to live. Li Kuan nodded, yes, I have. Emo said heavily, Truth Divine Emperor's sliver of soul can relive after countless years, and now your tear bead has a sliver of Fengxi's soul. Once you reach Immortal Emperor, who knows if you can bring him back to life? Emo was bullshitting. He knew Fengxi's situation was different to Truth Divine Emperor, but he knew that Fengxi wouldn't want Li Kuan to die. Li Kuan's hands shook. Her eyes were full of life force, and then she said shakily, how come I didn't think of it? I'm too selfish. I should have thought of it. Li Kuan bowed to Emo again. Martial brother Yi. Thank you. Thanks. You saved me and Fengxi again. You goddess. I'm just saying what I should. It's nothing. Emo waved his hand. Emo, I'm a bit older than you. If you don't mind, then we can be sister and brother. You can call me Sister Shiyu. There was a genuine look in Li Kuan's eyes. Sister Shiyu, in that case, I won't be too polite. Emo quickly said. Brother. Li Kuan called happily. Then she gave herself a cleansing spell. She walked up to Emo and grabbed his hand, pulling him to a huge stone on the side. You must think that those words are just to comfort me, and Fengxi can't be saved, right? Emo was very awkward and said nothing. Fengxi smiled. When Fengxi was nourishing my soul, a part of his soul is in my body. It's hidden in the deepest part of my sea of consciousness. In my agitation, I didn't think that the bead you brought contains his essence blood. Perhaps not long after I would be able to fuse his soul and essence blood and rebuild his body. So I need to thank you. Without you, I almost did something very stupid. Emo dazed. He was overjoyed too. He didn't expect that bead feng she gave him would be able to revive him. This chance of revival was much greater than truth, Divine Emperor. Hold this. This is my communication bead. If anyone dares to be disrespectful in the grand heaven domain, tell me. Li Kuan gave a bead to Emo. Only her master and her two extremely good friends had this. No one else did. Your power should be far greater than ordinary great extreme immortal. I believe ordinary great eternity immortal wouldn't even be able to keep you. Li Kuan added. Emo took the bead and didn't explain. Would he need to run against ordinary great eternity immortal? Where do you plan to go? Li Kuan really treated Emo as her brother. I'm planning to go to Yuandong Heaven. I heard these Adao discussions social there. I want to see. Emo didn't believe Li Kuan would spill his things, but he didn't tell her about how heaven heritage. Li Kuan came from Emperor sect and had plenty of resources. She didn't need it. Li Kuan fell silent and said, Ethereal Immortal Pond Saint Ningyu Goddess invited me over. How about you come with me? Emo wasn't going to go, he was going to reject without hesitation. But before he could, Li Kuan stopped him. The most famous thing of Ethereal Immortal Pond is Ethereal Immortal Well. I'm rather good friends with Ningyu Goddess. As a solo cultivator, you must be lacking on resources. The Ethereal Immortal Well is the best cultivation ground and a great body refinement place. Li Kuan looked at Emo seriously. You don't body refinement, but the well can improve your body and will benefit your future cultivation. The Ethereal Immortal Well is very precious, but I believe Ningyu Goddess would agree if I ask. Emo's heart was throbbing. His body refinement was a mortal spirit body, but his body refinement had always been harsh, such as space wind blades, flame river. This was the most common body refinement method, but if it wasn't done well, it would affect the body. There was another way of body refinement, and that was special immortal liquid. This could balance immortal bodies and remove hidden injuries. Okay then, but Sister Shiyu, if she doesn't agree, then don't force it. Emo said. Don't worry. Li Kuan smiled. You can have these pills, I have a lot of these. Li Kuan took out a storage ring and gave it to Emo. Emo scanned the pills. They were all great extreme immortal to great eternity immortal pills. He smiled and gave it back. Sister Shiyu, I'm actually a top grade level 6 immortal pill great master. What? Li Kuan was dazed. Level 6 immortal pill great master? You're saying you're level 6 immortal pill great master? Li Kuan repeated excitedly. Okay. This is great. I didn't expect you had such talent. Li Kuan calmed down for a while before pulling Emo and saying, I was thinking about how to get you to become a core disciple, but now you definitely came. After we come back, I'll take you to Longyu Emperor sect. If you join them, all you need to do is cultivate. I can get you the resources for pill concoction. Emo looked at the genuinely joyful Li Kuan and was grateful too. Li Kuan really treated him as a kin. It was very safe to go to Longyu Emperor sect, but it wasn't good for Emo. The people looking for trouble with him was too scary. Even Longyu Emperor sect couldn't protect him. Second, he had too many secrets. Emo fell silent for a moment and said, Sister Shiyu, thank you, but I don't want to join a sect. I'm used to being free. Li Kuan dazed but said, You're already level 6 immortal pill great master, you don't need to join a sect indeed. Even an emperor sect would be fighting over you. Let's go to Ethereal Immortal Pond first. After that we'll go to Yuandong Heaven and we can discuss on the way. Luo Yu Continent, Truth Fall Palace. At the stairways to level 7, 3 women stood here. They were all from South P State Mou City. It was Su Jingwen, Jing Ingli, and Yimo. Ingli, did you stop it here with Emo? Su Jingwen asked. She was the strongest amongst them, Truth Realization State level 1. Jing Ingli shook her head. No, we went to level 7. We didn't go in, we were almost killed after just getting in. Those spirit cultivators are very powerful. Yimo smiled. Ingli's sister, with our power, we should be able to be fine at level 7, right? Jing Ingli nodded. I don't know if there had been cauldron-filling state cultivators coming in the Truth Fall Palace ever since the ancient battle, but I'm certain there has been no Truth Realization State cultivators coming in. Sister Jingwen is Truth Realization State, so she should be fine. It said that when the Truth Fall Palace first opened, there was an ancient battle at level 7. Many truth realization state cultivators died here, we need to be careful. Yes. I cultivated every day very hard, but how come I'm still cauldron-filling state? Auntie Wen's talent is too good. Yimo pretended to be unhappy. Su Jingwen smiled. Her talent was indeed the top grade, but it was also to do with her dedication. She missed Yimo, so she wanted to fly to the immortal realm quickly and see him. Not just her, who else in Mo Yu City wasn't working hard? How could Jingli not know what Su Jingwen thought? She sighed. There definitely were people with similar talent to Sister Jingwen in the past. There would be more people similar to our talent. But never has there been a place with dense spirit chi like Mou Lake and have immortal crystals for cultivation as well as the best pills. Even without those pills, only Mou City uses immortal crystals for cultivation. Su Jingwen agreed. Ingli is right. The reason we can cultivate so fast other than owing to our talent is the immortal crystals and spirit pond. Pausing for a moment, Su Jingwen said again, after we get to level 7, Yimo, don't run around. We need to stay together. If we can't stop them, defend till the palace opens again. Yimo attacked ferociously, but Su Jingwen was afraid of something happening to her. If something did, then she would be unable to forgive herself. There were 777 stairs to level 7. When Yimo came with Jing Ingli, she wouldn't even have been able to take the Presu if Yimo didn't help. Now, they felt some pressure, but they easily went up to level 7. Jing Ingli felt the improvement. Nascent soul state and cauldron-filling state weren't on the same level. She was very grateful to Yimo. If Yimo didn't give her immortal crystals, how could she reach cauldron-filling state? It'd be very good if she was hollow spirit state now. Yimo found it hard too, but we don't feel it's hard. This means things are possible. Jing Ingli smiled. Why is the spirit chi here so messy? It's worse than level 5? Yimo asked. Jing Ingli said, there's spirit cultivators at this level, we need to be careful. They like these places. A bleakness struck. It seemed the nearby space was collapsing. Spirit cultivators are ambushing. This isn't space collapse. Be careful. Use rare flames. Jing Ingli said. I'll do it. Yimo waved her hand and 12 lightning orbs flew up. Countless lightning arcs flashed. The gray space disappeared and there was a sizzling sound with some screams. The nearby space seemed to have brightened up again. Su Jingwen smiled. I finally believe what other people say now. No wonder so many people are dobbying at Mou City. Emo, you probably did a lot of bad things outside, right? Emo said, I would never do bad things. I taught those bad guys a lesson. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that much spare time. I want to fly to the immortal realm quickly like Auntie One. South Peace State is really no fun anymore. After leaving here, I want to go to the Heartless Sea for a spin. By the way, Auntie One, Sister Ingli, do you guys want to come with me? Su Jingwen's face sunk this time. Heartless Sea isn't the South Peace State. Mou City has extraordinary status in South Peace State. It has become the leader of South Peace State. Other people would give some face. The Heartless Sea is different. Spirit beasts ravage there. There's also all sorts of power. Before you reach truth realization state tertiary stage, you must never go into the Heartless Sea. I was originally living at the Heartless Sea. My master took me to the Heartless Sea to kill spirit beasts. Emo was still murmuring, but Su Jingwen interrupted without hesitation. No matter what, you're not allowed to go Heartless Sea now. Rumble. A lined-up team came over, each with familiar faces. This? Emo immediately realized this was an illusion. Attack. This is spirit cultivators confusing your minds. Su Jingwen said heavily and raised her hand, slicing out an ice blade. These ice blades were each 10 meters long and cut the team from the waist in half. Jing Ingli also released a flute spewing out fire. Yimo was the strongest. She released the 36 lightning orbs. It brought 3 levels of lightning, and when those gray figures in the mist were struck, they instantly disappeared. Immediately the mist emptied up and the illusion disappeared. How come I can't find a clear spirit pearl, Sai? Emo sighed. The 36 lightning orbs are too high level, the spirit cultivators here are too low level. They die straight up and so they can't leave clear spirit pearls behind. Brother Yi only got 1 before due to luck. Jing Ingli answered. Emo said dejectedly, The other 24 lightning orbs Grandpa Lu Wu, who made for me, isn't the original. There's some different Psy. Su Jingwen was lost for words. Be satisfied. How many people could let Earth Forgery God forge for them? Lu Qianbei made 24 extreme-grade cultivation artifact lightning orbs for you, and you're still not happy. Yimo meant to say if Earth Forgery God came to Mou City earlier, he would be able to see Brother Yi. Jing Yingli smiled. Start fighting. Another wave of bleak qi attacked. Yimo released the 36 orbs. Jing Yingli and Su Jingwen didn't even need to move, they just needed to watch on the side a little. The strongest spirit cultivator here was only body condensation state, while there was 2 cauldron filling state and 1 truth realization state cultivator here. They were torn to pieces by the 36 lightning orbs. Jing Yingli and Su Jingwen just went on the side and started collecting spirit herbs eventually. The further they went, the more cultivator corpses they found. When Yimo removed a large area of mist again, a tower suddenly appeared before them. There were the words, Truth God Tower. We're at Truth God Tower already? Yimo asked. Then she thought of something and said, I heard there's lots of extreme-grade cultivation method and magic artifacts at Truth God Spirit. Sciziter Yingli, what happened? Yimo just saw Jing Yingli crying on a corpse. There was a storage ring in her hands. Su Jingwen went over and pulled Jing Yingli up. You were able to find your grandma, she must be very happy. Before Jing Yingli spoke, that tower suddenly disappeared and a bleak, terrifying qi swept over. Their essence spirit was uncontrollably flying away. Even Su Jingwen wouldn't be able to stop this terrifying power. This bleak qi was the controller of the spirit cultivators in level 7. Su Jingwen was shocked. Her power was the strongest and she felt the greatest pressure. She released Ice Blade immediately, and when she did, Jing Yingli and Yimo were completely dazed. Jing Yingli knew that her sea of consciousness was restricted and she couldn't resist. Yimo's power was stronger than Jing Yingli, but even so, her lightning orbs could only hang in the air and couldn't help. Su Jingwen attacked. A piercing white light flashed. The nearby temperature lowered immediately. This frost was Su Jingwen's extreme-grade cultivation artifact, Dual Moon Ice Blades. Crack. The heaven-covering frost released by Su Jingwen's blades were torn apart by this dark bleak qi, but the nearby space still brightened up a little. In a moment, Yimo recovered. Yimo was prepared, and before the restriction could come the second time, she spat multiple mouthful of blood and released half a dull gray sword tip. This sword tip was gray, but it shot out white rays that illuminated the entire level 7. Everything was clearly seen and ferocious killing force spewed out. A hollow figure was completely dazed under this white light as though bound by this terrifying sword tip. Su Jingwen and Jing Yingli were dazed. They had never expected Yimo to have such killing blow. A sharp scream sounded and the sword tip tore through the hollow figure like paper. The hollow figure couldn't resist at all and exploded. Now, Yimo released the 36 lightning orbs and smashed over. The figure was ravaged even more by the spilling lightning. At the same time, Su Jingwen and Jing Yingli reacted and attacked too. Moments later, the grayness disappeared and so did the tower. The bleak qi was also crippled and disappeared. Su Jingwen quickly held Yimo, who was about to fall down, and sent a pill into her mouth before asking worriedly, Yimo, are you okay? I'm fine, so powerful. Yimo answered feebly. Jing Yingli also noticed Yimo was just a little exhausted. She should be fine. She picked up the gray sword tip. Touching it, Jing Yingli felt the terrifying killing intent contained in it. So powerful! Jing Yingli exclaimed. This definitely was an ordinary immortal artifact fragment. Where did this come from? Jing Yingli gave the sword tip back to Yimo and asked. Yimo took the sword tip and joked, your brother Yi gave it to me. Jing Yingli was used to joking around with Yimo and didn't mind. Su Jingwen said, if it wasn't for this sword tip, we might have all died today. Yimo nodded. My dad said this sword tip almost killed him before. He had to recover for a few months. Eventually, he attached a sliver of his spirit sense on this sword tip. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to release it at all. Jing Yingli and Su Jingwen realized. Yimo's power was the strongest on Luo Yu continent, and even he couldn't stop this sword tip. One could see its power. 15 minutes later, Yimo recovered and the three found there was a stairway that seemed to lead to level 8. Are we going to level 8? Jing Ingli asked. Yimo hasn't recovered yet. How about we wait here? Su Jingwen looked worriedly at Yimo. I'm fine, let's go up. Perhaps the spirit cultivator we killed at level 7 is the strongest in the entire Truthfall Palace. Yimo said. She had a natural adventurous spirit. Su Jingwen and Jing Ingli nodded. Since they're already here, they were unwilling to go without going up more. The three climbed the 888 stairs. The pressure was still very high, but it couldn't stop them. At the 8th level, the three found that this level was very empty and spacious. There was nothing here. Go to level 9. The three thought of this at the same time. There were 999 stairs to level 9. This time only Su Jingwen still felt easy, but Jing Ingli and Yimo had some trouble. Yimo had spirit sense cultivation method. Although it was the simplest spirit sense spike, it could barely let her get into level 9. Jing Ingli was able to reach level 9 with the help of Su Jingwen. What is this? The three glanced at each other. Level 9 was much smaller than before, but it was a mess. The cultivation homes here were crashed, jade slips, jade cards were everywhere. They were all broken. On top of that, there were magic artifact remnants. Su Jingwen picked up a small piece of magic artifact fragment and looked at it for a while. This isn't cultivation realm magic artifact fragment. It seems higher level than immortal artifact. Su Jingwen had seen immortal artifact before. There were more than one at MOU City. They were all low-grade immortal artifact, but they were still immortal artifact. It seems so. There are immortal Dao laws in these fragments. You can't scan with spirit sense? Jing Ingli paused and picked up a bracelet. This isn't storage bracelet. This is small world. Jing Ingli looked at the storage bracelet in shock. Su Jingwen took the bracelet and looked at it before saying, this isn't a small world. It quite possibly is a truth spirit world. Su Jingwen and Jing Ingli glanced at each other with disbelief. At Truthfall Palace level 9. There were truth spirit worlds and it was left here like trash. Auntie 1, Sister Ingli. Come have a look. Yimo stood in the rubble and held a stone. Su Jingwen gave the bracelet to Ingli and quickly charged up to Yimo. What happened? I scanned this tablet with my spirit sense. From it I learned that the Truthfall Palace is only a magic artifact and it can be spirit controlled. The way to control it is through this tablet. Yimo quickly said. Su Jingwen suddenly asked, how long till the palace shuts? Jing Ingli quickly said, we were very fast. There should be 4 months left. Su Jingwen nodded. Yimo, hurry up and spirit control the tablet. Regardless, this is a huge fortune. Ingli, spirit control that bracelet world. I'll protect you guys. Yimo, use your essence blood. That would be faster. The two agreed and immediately began. When Yimo started the spirit controlling process, she realized that the tablet had a spirit, but it was dead. Otherwise, she might not be able to control 10% even after 100 years. 3 months later, Yimo got up. What's going on? Su Jingwen quickly asked. Auntie 1, the Truthfall Palace isn't really called Truthfall Palace. Yimo said in shock. What is this? Su Jingwen immediately asked. It was a primordial spirit treasure in the ancient times, not a fake one that the cultivation realm forges. Yimo's tone was shaky. In the cultivation realm, when cultivation artifact forgery failed but the end result was still higher than spirit artifact, it was called spirit treasure so it can be sold. Jing Ingli also came over and said, I only controlled a little bit of that bracelet. It's a very small truth spirit world. There's no life inside. I need many years to completely spirit control it. Su Jingwen nodded and looked at Yimo. Continue. Yimo said shakily, primordial spirit treasure is higher level than God artifact and God artifact is higher level than immortal artifact. What? Su Jingwen and Jing Ingli called out in shock at the same time. Yimo calmed down and said, this magic artifact isn't called Truthfall Palace. It's called Immortal Carnage Tower. It's a bit broken and the tower spirit is gone. It can self-repair. The three glanced at each other. Just the name was terrifying enough, much less it was primordial spirit treasure. Can you control the Immortal Carnage Tower? After a long while, Su Jingwen asked. Yimo nodded. I don't know how many levels of restrictions there are, but I only controlled the first level. I can't make it attack, but I can put away the tower. Then Yimo frowned. What happened? Su Jingwen quickly asked. At level 4, a guy from Tianyan's sect ambushed his martial brother for a mere immortal spirit herb. I'm going to kick him out immediately, Yimo said angrily. Not yet. Everything in here is yours. Later you can transport all the cultivators out and take the tower with you back to Mou City, Su Jingwen said quickly. Jing Yingli also put the bracelet on the ground. I haven't spirit-controlled this bracelet too. It's dangerous to take it with me. I'll put it inside here first and spirit-control it after I get back to Mou City. What's going on? There seems to be half a month time left. Why did we get sent out? What's going on? Wait. This time there seems to be more people coming out than going in. Yeah. Some of them don't seem to be from South Peace State. At the flat peak of a mountain, the cultivators were teleported here. Soon, people noticed things weren't right and started discussing. Soon, they realized that the cultivators from the other 3 states were teleported here too. Yimo's power was limited and only controlled one restriction, so she could only move everyone here. Everyone calm down. Something must have happened to the tower, but everyone is safe. Calm down, we'll discuss things first. A thick voice sounded. It was God Wind Valley Truth Realization State Elder Mo Ming. Then, Clear Dream Mosque Shan Bingfeng, as well as Abstruse Sound Sect Jing Fengji also came over to Su Jingwen. Ever since Mo stopped the disaster for South Peace State, Mou City became the leader of South Peace State. Compared to before, South Peace State was much more cooperative, all because of Mou City. There was level 9 Pill King at Mou City and there were level 8 Pill Kings. Yu Chichao was only one step away from level 9. There were more and more Truth Realization State cultivators going to Mou City. Meanwhile, Pill City was declining. This time Su Jingwen came to Truth Fall Palace. She also brought 2 Truth Realization State cultivators. One could see Mou City's power. Su Jingwen was Yimo's wife and one of the city lords. Yimo was Yimo's daughter, so immediately, everyone gathered around her. Jing Fengji knew his daughter was next to Su Jingwen, but he acted as though he didn't see it. Jing Yingli was far higher than Jing Yingmeng in terms of power. Goddess Jingwen, how should we deal with the Truth Fall Palace? Mo Ming saluted with his fists and asked. He was Truth Realization State level 4 but still very polite to her. The other Truth Realization State elders all looked at Su Jingwen. Su Jingwen nodded. The incident occurred at Truth Fall Palace, but luckily everyone is fine. We should go back and discuss about it. As for the cultivators from the other 3 states, you can stay at South Peace State. If you want to go back, you can use South Peace State teleportation formation to leave for free. The Truth Fall Palace was gone, and Su Jingwen just said what everyone wanted to say. All sorts of flying magic artifact and ships flew away. Some sect elders left alone. Meanwhile, Su Jingwen used extreme-grade flying cultivation artifact to leave with Yimo and Jing Yingli. Chong Rong Heaven Ethereal Immortal Pond, it was also an emperor sect. It had an immortal emperor who was always in solitary cultivation. Emperor sects were the highest grade sect in any heaven domain. Even heaven lords didn't dare to disrespect emperor sects. Ethereal Immortal Pond was different to other sections. Other than the immortal emperor, the person with the highest status wasn't the sect leader but the saint. Every saint must be an extreme prodigy and a virgin. Each saint would stay in power for about 100,000 years. Then, they would find an equally talented female immortal to succeed her position. After leaving her position, the saint is free to travel the immortal realm or be sect leader. The saint can also go find a Tao partner, but rarely do they do so. Ningyu Goddess was the saint. She was thinking about when Li Kuan would be coming over, but she just received the report that Yu Goddess was here, but she brought a man too. Ethereal Immortal Pond had the rule that unless it was a special circumstance, men weren't allowed inside. This time, Li Kuan brought a man here to visit. This made it hard for her. It was hard, but Li Kuan was her friend, and she had something important she needed help with, so she could only go greet them personally. Emo was amazed just standing outside the ethereal immortal pond that was shrouded in immortal spirit chi. A 10 km long waterfall hung. One couldn't see the bottom of the pond. There were flying immortal birds and animals. This ethereal immortal pond was like heaven. The scene was this beautiful before even going in. Just what would it be like inside? Seeing Yemo's face, Li Kuan smiled. In fact, all emperor sects are extremely beautiful. The immortal spirit chi is very dense too. Long Yu emperor sect is like this too. After Yuandong heaven, I'll take you there for a while. It's no any lesser than ethereal immortal pond. Sister Shiyu, I was wondering why you weren't here yet and now you came. A crisp voice sounded. Then a yellow-dressed female immortal stood on the rainbow as she landed not far from Li Kuan and Yemo. Two female immortal followed behind the woman. Her beauty was extraordinary, on par with Jin Bingyu. Yemo guessed this person as probably Ning Yu goddess, the ethereal immortal pond saint. Sister Ning Yu, 11 you greet you. Li Kuan quickly went up and greeted. Then, she pulled Yemo to this female immortal sister Ning Yu. This is my brother Yemo. I brought him over suddenly to visit ethereal immortal pond. Would it affect you? Yemo greet goddess Ning Yu. Yemo saluted with his fists but wanted to laugh. Sister Shi you really knew how to talk. If she didn't say it that way, Ning Yu would find someone random to take him around. But now it was hard for Ning Yu to reject. Hearing this, Ning Yu quickly said, It's fine. Let's go in first. She sighed. She knew Li Kuan very well. She wouldn't have a brother. Now, she suddenly had one and she grabbed his hand. Clearly they weren't just brother and sister. This way it was hard for Li Kuan to help her. Following them in, Yemo realized how grand the Emperor sect was. Any random immortal spirit herb garden was filled with level 5 and level 6 immortal spirit herb. The immortal spirit chi was many times denser than outside. If he sat in time formation disk and cultivated, Yemo believed his cultivation speed would increase greatly. The mountain peaks were all in a mist. Yemo knew this was a special immortal spirit chi. It seemed like clouds, but walking in it would make you feel joyful while cleansing your body. This probably got to do with that ethereal immortal well. The two spoke as they went while Yemo was searching around with his spirit sense. He was curious, perhaps one day he would be able to set up a big sect and what he saw now would be beneficial. 5 minutes later, Ning Yu took Li Kuan and Yemo to a floating small balcony. The scene nearby were mesmerizing. Some light breath came with faint aroma. There was a jade table in the center of the balcony with a few cups and jade kettle and a few female immortals standing there. Sister Shiyu, let's sit down and have a talk. Ning Yu's voice was always soft and ethereal. Actually, I have some private matters to talk to Sister Shiyu. But Ning Yu poured a cup of immortal tea for the two and then glanced at Yemo. She clearly meant that it was private girls' matters. It wasn't good suitable for Yemo to stay here. Li Kuan smiled, as though she knew that Ning Yu wanted to send away Yemo. She immediately said, Sister Ning Yu, Shiyu actually came to ask you for help. Hearing this, Ning Yu brightened up. It was good that Li Kuan asked her for help. She quickly said, Just tell me, Sister Shiyu. I will help as long as I can. Thank you, Ning Yu, sister, you can definitely help with this. Ning Yu felt things didn't seem to be too right. Li Kuan continued, My brother heard that the ethereal immortal pond has an ethereal immortal well that is very beneficial for cultivation. I made the claim that I can help him cultivate there for 3 months. Yemo wanted to laugh now. Ning Yu's face looked bad. She fell into a long silence before saying, It's all our core disciples and those who contributed greatly to the sect who goes into the ethereal immortal well. It's all female immortals who go in to cultivate and you need to strip naked your brother. It's okay, my brother won't mind, he just needs a good place to cultivate. He won't disturb the other martial sisters. Li Kuan immediately said. Ning Yu was lost for words. She knew Li Kuan's brother wouldn't mind, but she and the other ethereal immortal pond sect members would. It's really impossible then, never mind. I'll take my brother and leave later, I can't make things hard for you. Li Kuan said dejectedly. No, Ning Yu quickly said. If Li Kuan left, what was she going to do? Seeing Li Kuan look at her in confusion, Ning Yu suddenly thought and said, Sister Shiyu, of course I'm willing to let your brother go into the ethereal immortal well to cultivate. But there's 3 regions of the ethereal immortal well. Ordinary region is where the female immortals are at. It's inconvenient for your brother to go. There's also high-level region, it's where the body refinement cultivators of the sect go. Usually, it's only immortal nirvana body or above who can go. But even in this place there are sect members, so it's still inconvenient for your brother to go. Seeing Li Kuan's face grow worse, Ning Yu quickly said, "Of course there's a top-grade region, but it's a place only immortal spirit body or above can go. Sai, it's not that I don't want to help you. I'm the saint, but I can't stop the sect members from cultivating and let your brother go in." Emo wanted to laugh. Ning Yu brought this on herself. Before Li Kuan spoke, he said to Ning Yu goddess, "Thank you, Sister Ning Yu. My cultivation method is special, so I can really compare with immortal spirit body. I should be fine." Ning Yu's face changed. "This isn't a joke. If you can't withstand the place you will lose your life." Li Kuan hesitated too. She took Emo here to purify his body and increase his potential. She didn't want Emo to risk his life. Seeing Li Kuan's hesitation, Emo quickly sound transmissioned to Li Kuan's sister Shiyu. "I'm immortal spirit body refinement immortal." Ha! Li Kuan looked dazedly at Emo. She had never thought that Emo had this much time to body refinement at great extreme immortal and was even immortal spirit body. He was level 6 immortal pill great master too. How did he have so much time? Even in the grand heaven domain, only a few immortal would increase their body refinement, but not many could reach immortal spirit body. Those who could reach immortal spirit body were all big sect members. Body refinement cultivation used up even more resources than ordinary cultivation. How did Emo and solo cultivator have this much resource for body refinement? "Sister Shiyu, you need to trust me. I'm telling the truth." Emo saw that Li Kuan was in a daze and quickly said. After coming into the sect, Emo felt that the ethereal immortal well would truly benefit him. Li Kuan sighed. She trusted Emo's words a little, but she wasn't happy at all. Immortal spirit body was good, but how many hidden injuries would Emo have in his body? Perhaps the next moment his body would cripple. Realizing this, Li Kuan wanted Emo to go in the well even more. The liquid could allow body refinement immortal's body to be perfectly repaired. "Sister Ning Yu, it's fine. My brother's body refinement cultivation method is special. Going in there would only benefit him." Li Kuan said affirmatively. "This?" Ning Yu goddess dazed. Was this Emo really an immortal spirit body? Was this possible? The scene fell silent. Ning Yu sighed. She knew she had to let Emo try. She took out a rune and said, "Then go in and have a try. If there's danger, crush the rune and come out immediately." Seeing this, Li Kuan breathed easy. This was the best outcome. "Wu Luan, take Emo to the top-grade region of ethereal immortal well." Ning Yu said to one female immortal and then smiled at Emo with a strange look. "Brother, just focus on cultivation. If there's danger, crush the rune immediately. I'll wait for you here," Li Kuan said. Seeing Emo leave with Wu Luan, Ning Yu smiled bitterly. "Sister Shiyu, seeing your assured face, I know you're not certain if Emo can cultivate there. This rune of mine isn't cheap. Sister Ning Yu, you're the ethereal immortal pond saint. One rune is nothing to you." Li Kuan smiled. "I'm about to not be saint." Ning Yu sighed. "What?" Li Kuan asked. She was very grateful to Ning Yu. Ning Yu looked seriously at Li Kuan and asked, "Sister Shiyu, if I ask you to be ethereal immortal pond saint, would you agree?" "Huh." Li Kuan dazed, but then she reacted, "How is this possible? I'm Long Yu Emperor sect members. How can I be ethereal immortal pond saint? I have a way, but I just want to ask if you're willing?" Ning Yu said seriously. Emo stood on the rainbow cloud and asked a few questions, but no matter what question he asked, she just nodded. She didn't intend to talk to him at all. "Martial brother Yi, we're here." Wu Luan landed the rainbow cloud. Emo studied the scene ahead. He stood on the peak of a mountain. There was no well. Wu Luan took out a jade card and patted down. A ripple appeared in space and a void door appeared. The door was at the cliff. "Martial brother Yi, you just need to enter in from here and it would be the high-level region of the well. Inside, there would be a place to get changed. You can go in the well right after you change. If there's any problem, you can crush the rune the saint gave you to teleport here immediately." Then Wu Luan's face blushed. She had to stay here because the saint told her to, but she was unhappy with Emo that she had to wait for a naked man to come out. Seeing her uneasy face, Emo immediately realized why. Emo sneered, wanting him to mess up. This Ningyu saint wasn't sane at all. Thanks. Emo saluted with his fists and went into the void door. Ulan saw Emo go in like that and grew nervous. She knew that if she left, she wouldn't be able to see Emo mess up. She was annoyed at Emo's ignorance but also keen on seeing him mess up. She had been in cultivation ever since she was small. Because of the ample resources, she didn't need to search for resources everywhere. Ever since she came to ethereal Immortal Pond, all she did was cultivate. Now, she was at a bottleneck, so she came out to do some minuscule things. She had never seen what a naked man was like. Later on, when Emo got teleported out, she would be able to see. But she was destined to be disappointed. She waited for nearly 15 minutes but didn't see Emo come out. She felt things wasn't too right. She would never believe Emo was able to stay at the top-grade cultivation region. After entering that ripple door, Emo landed in a wooden room surrounded by crisp green immortal spirit herb. Faint aromas came. Emo felt this place was a female cultivation ground. In the wooden house ahead, there was a misty pond. Emo scanned his spirit sense in and found that his spirit sense couldn't penetrate this mist. There were 3 words hanging in the air: ethereal immortal well. Emo scanned his spirit sense out from here and found this place was like the void. His spirit sense couldn't scan any material thing other than the immortal spirit herb or the well and this wooden house. There were some hooks for hanging clothes. Emo shook his head. He knew there was no one watching around here, but he still didn't feel secure. Emo waved his hand and set up a few restrictions. This was his habit. Then Emo quickly took off his clothes. He didn't leave his clothes here and just dumped it into his storage ring. When he wanted to walk into the pond, he found the wood didn't seem ordinary. He subconsciously felt it and found in shock that these were level 8 immortal wood Xiangpeng. There was this many here. The wealth of the Emperor sect was indeed terrifying. Xiangpeng was the top-grade material for forging adornments. Could push away evil and prevent heart demon during cultivation. At the same time, it can also filter some of the impurities in the immortal spirit chi. Realizing this was Xiangpeng, Emo almost was about to move this entire wooden house away. Luckily, he knew this wasn't his and resisted the urge. Emo breathed and walked next to the pond. There was mist everywhere and the pond water was calm. He didn't feel there was anything wrong with here. Only immortal spirit body can go in? After hesitating for a moment, Emo jumped into the well. The warm water made Emo feel comfortable to the extreme. He also moaned. The warm water surrounded him, making Emo almost forget he came here for cultivation and not for spa. He shook his head. Ningyu was too shameless. This was a place only immortal spirit body could come in. Then Emo cast these thoughts aside and closed his eyes. He used the 3 birth chant instead of choosing to body refinement. He felt this place was better for cultivation. Sizzle. As Emo used the 3 birth chant, countless water pierced into his body like needles. Emo was certain that if he wasn't immortal spirit body, he wouldn't have time to crush the rune. If he didn't, then he would be torn to pieces by the well. Emo didn't dare to think much. He quickly used his body refinement cultivation method and the needles seemed to ease up. It started to ravage his muscles and bones slowly, not even letting go of his meridians and dantian. But Emo could control them now. Ningyu wanted his life? Emo shivered, thinking about that terrifying danger. If he wasn't immortal spirit body, then even great eternity immortal peak stage wouldn't be able to last. As he used the body refinement cultivation method, Emo immediately felt the benefit of the well. After the needles pierced into him, he could clearly feel his body changing. There seemed to be impurities taken away by the water. At the same time, he felt the water wash his meridians, taking away some useless things. Soon, Emo forgot the terror of the water. He felt a lazy feeling. He slowly subconsciously moved to the center of the well. 5 minutes later, Emo was completely immersed in this. Likuan didn't know what way Ningyu could allow her to be saint. If it was before she got news of Feng 11, she might ask her master, but now, she definitely didn't want to do this. It was only a matter of time before She was revived. How could she be a saint? Seeing Ning Yu stare at her, Li Kuan shook her head apologetically. Sorry, Sister Ning Yu. You told me too late. Ning Yu guessed that Li Kuan and Yimo's relationship wasn't ordinary, but hearing this, there was this inexplicable feeling of disappointment. There weren't many who could replace her. Beauty wasn't enough. One had to be extremely talented. Such people were rare even in the grand heaven domain. Even if there were, they would have been taken by the big sects already. Li Kuan satisfied her requirements. But now Li Kuan said it was too late. She subconsciously asked, is it because you have someone you love? You can't be saint. Li Kuan nodded yes. I found the person I love. I won't be a saint. Ning Yu was full of bitterness. A month ago, she got news that Li Kuan didn't like anyone, even little Immortal King. She was certain that if Li Kuan joined the ethereal Immortal Pond, even little Immortal King wouldn't dare to pester her. Of course, with her current identity, little Immortal King can only use the sect to propose. In less than a month, this many things happened. Ning Yu didn't dare to believe this. She knew that Li Kuan didn't lie to her. Happiness was all over her face. She hadn't seen Li Kuan many times, but she had known her for a long time. She always had this sadness on her face, but now it was gone. What's going on? Ning Yu suddenly got up and looked at Wu Luan, who came in a worry. Li Kuan got up too. Her face was nervous. Yimo left with Wu Luan, but now only she came back. Li Kuan didn't dare to keep thinking. If something happened to Yimo, she wouldn't be able to forgive herself even if she died. Martial Sister Saint. Yimo never came back out after entering the ethereal immortal well. Wu Luan bowed and said, she wasn't to blame, but she brought Yimo there. I'll go have a look. Ning Yu was a little nervous too. She gave a rune to Yimo. She thought he would crush it if there was danger. But now he went in and didn't come out? If something happened, it would be bad. Regardless, Yimo mustn't be harmed. She was good with Li Kuan, but if Yimo was harmed, their relationship would definitely drop to ice level. Li Kuan couldn't even speak. She could only follow Ning Yu worriedly. This is the ethereal immortal well? There's no danger here. Why is my brother gone? Li Kuan said unreasonably in her anxiety. Young Master Yi really came in here. I saw it with my own eyes. Wu Luan said desperately. Ning Yu calmed down and comforted Sister Shiyu. Don't worry. I'll go in and see. I've actually never been inside myself. Wait! A crisp voice sounded and interrupted Ning Yu. Li Kuan just realized a person suddenly appeared. She looked even younger than her. But then she found in shock she couldn't see through her power. Ning Yu bowed. Ning Yu greet Martial Uncle Yin Dang. The saint had high status, but seeing the sect's ancestor, she still needed to be respectful. This female immortal looked younger than her but was actually the ancestor level of ethereal immortal pond. Her power was at immortal monarch primary stage. She looked seriously at Ning Yu. Ning Yu. As the saint of ethereal immortal pond, you have the greatest freedom. But some things you should think before doing them. Recently you've, many times, sigh. Yin Dang sighed, using a reproaching tone to the saint was already against the rules, although she knew that Ning Yu was no longer suitable to be saint. Yes, Ning Yu knows. Ning Yu had higher status than Yin Dang, but she still responded respectfully. Long Yu Emperor Sect Li Kuan greet Yin Dang Immortal Monarch. Li Kuan greeted. Wu Luan greet Martial Ancestor Yin Dang. Wu Luan also bowed. Yin Dang's face eased up and nodded to Li Kuan and Wu Luan before saying to Ning Yu. It's okay to let a man in the ethereal immortal pond, since you're the saint, but letting a man go into ethereal immortal pond for cultivation is against the sect rules. Ning Yu knows my wrongs. Ning Yu looked down and said respectfully. Li Kuan really wanted to say that she asked Ning Yu to do this, but she didn't have the mood as she was worried about Yimo's life. Yin Dang sighed, if it's not an immortal spirit body cultivator, if you don't have body refinement cultivation method, then even I wouldn't be able to last long inside. You're a mere halfway immortal king and you dare to go into ethereal immortal pond's top grade area. As the saint of ethereal immortal pond, are you insolent or fearless? Plus, do you not know one needs to strip naked to go in? Yin Dang said again, perhaps you're saying he can crush the rune instantly, but I can tell you, If your power is an immortal king or if you're not immortal spirit body, then you wouldn't even have the opportunity to crush the rune. So, if I didn't come here, then you going in the pond would only result in your death. Ning Yu's face was pale. She didn't expect things were like this. There's only 4 jade cards to hear, you have 1, I have 1 too. If I didn't make it in time, you would have been dead. Huh. Ning Yu was sweating. But then she thought of Li Kuan. Her face was paler than hers and even shaking. One could see how much Yi Mo meant to her. Ning Yu felt very guilty. She shouldn't have agreed to her request. Ning Yu also realized why the sect gave her the jade card but didn't tell her of the dangers. Saint was the symbol of the sect. She needed to be mature and reasonable. The sect was testing her character too. If she couldn't resist going in the well, then she would die. If that happened, it meant she wasn't suitable to be saint. The sect wouldn't pity her death. Ning Yu felt a little cold from this. She was deeply attached to ethereal immortal pond, but she didn't expect that saint could be sacrificed at any time. She felt much less guilt to the sect now. Seeing Ning Yu's face, Yin Dang knew Ning Yu realized what the sect did. She sighed, Ning Yu, you've been making many mistakes recently. You probably can't stay a saint now. You need to choose the next saint. What are you going to do? Ning Yu subconsciously looked at Li Kuan, who had an extremely pale face, and said nothing. Yin Dang saw her glance and immediately realized what Ning Yu meant. She had heard of Li Kuan. Her talent and beauty was enough to let her be saint. With their relationship, she could convince Li Kuan to transfer to ethereal immortal pond. Sister Shiyu, sorry. I was too careless. This is my fault. Ning Yu sighed. Li Kuan shook her head with a pale face. Sister Ning Yu, you're not to blame for this. My brother and I thought too lightly of things. As for what you mentioned before, I hope you won't bring it up again. I just hope you will let me wait here for 3 months. Even though the immortal monarch said Yi Mo was gone, she still had a sliver of hope, because Yi Mo told her he was a mortal spirit body. In the depth of her heart, she felt Yi Mo wouldn't lie to her. Before Ning Yu spoke, Yin Dang shook her head. Impossible. Even though Ning Yu is saint, she went against sect rules to let your brother go in there. She will be punished. If I let you stay here for another 3 months, I will be punished too. Your brother probably isn't immortal king yet, right? Li Kuan subconsciously shook her head. No. He's great extreme immortal primary stage. Great extreme immortal primary stage. If he isn't immortal spirit body, there's no way he can live in there. I guess your brother can't be immortal spirit body. So, seeing that Li Kuan wasn't able to take it, Ning Yu quickly said, Sister Shiyu, why don't you come stay at my place for 3 months? If your brother is fine, he will come find you 3 months later. Li Kuan fell into a moment of silence and could only agree. Yi Mo had entered the deepest part of the ethereal immortal pond now. That needle feeling was gone. He could feel his body being strengthened and purified. He didn't cultivate yet, but he knew this purified body would be much suited for cultivation and body refinement. He immersed into this process of purification and forgot the flow of time. Yi Mo suddenly woke up after an unknown amount of time. He flew up from the bottom of the well and stood above the water surface. His bones were cracking and immortal essence flowed in his body smoothly. Yi Mo was still immortal spirit body power and great extreme immortal, but he was much stronger than before. Yi Mo knew clearly that what he got here was the increase in his potential. The ethereal immortal well was good indeed. He wondered if there was something this good in the Long Yu Emperor sect too. Looking at his perfect and sturdy body, Yi Mo said happily, This is good, Susu and them will be happy with this. Luckily there was no one here, or Yi Mo would be embarrassed. He murmured, What way should I use to bring some of the water here away? It's useless even if you take it away, young man, you need to know satisfaction. And I hate people admiring themselves in front of me. A sudden voice sounded. Yi Mo was shocked and yelled out, Who is it? There was a sound by his ear, but he couldn't find where the sound came from. This power was too terrifying. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that I'll give you a huge fortune since you came to me. The voice sounded again. Where are you? Yi Mo calmed down and took out his clothes to put on while carefully scanning with his spirit sense. Spirit sense was limited here, but he could still scan a 10-meter radius around him. Of course, he found nothing. If you put your clothes on and enter the ethereal immortal pond, then you'll really have little chances of survival. Once you cultivate in here, you must not have anything blocking your hair glands and meridians. Otherwise, you will disintegrate. The voice sounded again. Emo stopped his actions. He knew this guy was telling the truth. Thinking about this, Emo stopped putting on his clothes and went back into the water again. But he didn't go find that voice, nor would he go over. He headed outside faster and faster. For such unknown danger, he tried to keep his distance. The skeleton at the bottom of the pond in the Chaos Star realm still scared him. There's no use in leaving here. I'm certain that if the ethereal immortal pond elders know you're not dead and you cultivated in here for 2 months, you will still die. You wouldn't even be able to see your sister. If you don't believe me, go out and see. Only that idiot saint of ethereal immortal pond would let you in here. The voice sounded again. Emo suddenly paused. He felt that voice didn't lie to him. He had experienced how good the well was. It was indeed too over the line to let an outsider come here. Plus, if you don't go through the ethereal immortal pond people, you still wouldn't be able to go out. At most, you can wait and sigh in that wooden house for someone to come kill you. The voice continued. Emo felt he was being manipulated, but he felt that the voice was right. You're not from ethereal immortal pond? Emo asked. If I was from ethereal immortal pond, I would have annihilated you already. I hate the ethereal immortal pond the most. The women here love themselves like you. The voice sneered. Then it added, you think the women here are good in their hearts like their looks? Never try to sleep a woman from here. No one here is good. In my eyes, these women are rose then demon joy sect women. Your immortal emperor? Emo asked. Immortal emperor is nothing. The voice said in contempt. Are you divine emperor? Emo was even more shocked. He didn't even have the mood to try run. After a long while, the voice replied, if I wasn't ambushed by that wretched woman, it's not impossible for me to reach divine emperor. Emo realized this guy was a half-divine emperor. No wonder he was this hateful. Don't worry. If I wanted to kill you, it would be easy like crushing an insect. Come over, let's go a deal. The voice sighed this time, letting Emo know where it was. Emo thought for a long while, if he didn't go over, he would fall into the hands of the ethereal immortal pond and then everything would be exposed. If he went over now, this guy might not be able to see he had the golden page world. He failed his Tao vindication. There must be problems with him. Perhaps he was worse than an immortal monarch. Thinking about this, it seemed his only sliver of chance was there. Emo gritted his teeth and walked towards the voice. After 5 minutes, Emo felt he couldn't go forward anymore. If he did, his immortal spirit body wouldn't be able to take it. This pond water was too powerful. At the same time, Emo wished that if he had such a pond, he would be able to repair his body every time he finished body refinement. Emo just paused and the voice said again, okay, now you can come over. Emo immediately saw that the tearing well water became soft and even slightly cool. But there was only half a meter wide path in front of him. If I walk halfway and you suddenly make the water like before, then would I die? Emo asked again. The voice laughed, you're right. If I pull away the restriction halfway, you'd be over. Emo cursed hearing that the voice didn't even promise he wouldn't do it. Despite so, Emo continued after pausing a moment. If that voice was really powerful, as he said, he would have long attacked. Even if this guy suddenly pulled the restriction away, his immortal spirit body would be able to last a second, and this time was enough for him to escape. His 5-element mobility was in great completion. This included water mobility. Not bad, you have some balls. The voice praised. Emo didn't split his attention at all. He was ready for water mobility at any time. Then he walked forward carefully. After another 5 minutes, he saw a flat, rocky ground. Emo immediately flew to the rock and put on his clothes. Emo saw this person now. He thought this person was locked up, but instead this person was sitting on a stone stool in front of a stone table. There was a wine kettle on the table. It was a middle-aged, scholarly-looking man. He wore a blue shirt and didn't seem desperate at all. He smiled at Emo. This middle-aged man was an extremely handsome-looking man. "Come have a chat with me." The middle-aged man smiled. EMO didn't go over. This was his believed safe distance. "What do you want me to come over for? Don't be so nervous. Come over first and we'll discuss. If we get along, I can help you out." The middle-aged man smiled. It was as though he had been alone here for too long and just wanted to talk to someone. EMO didn't go over and instead said calmly, "You said you can help me. Let's hear it. No need to chat. If you can't help me, I'll go immediately. If you want me to help you with something, be straightforward." "Okay, little guy, you're decisive. I've decided to be friends with you." The middle-aged man slammed the table in excitement. Then he said mysteriously, "Are you interested in hearing my story?" "No," EMO rejected without hesitation. "Great. I like people like you." The middle-aged man patted the man in extreme excitement. EMO looked at this man speechlessly. There was no way he was going up to him no matter what. This middle-aged man seemed very chatty, EMO thought. He sent out a few spirit sense blades. This middle-aged man seemed free, but he gave EMO a strange feeling. Thud thud. EMO was immediately backlashed and he flew back spitting blood in midair. EMO quickly flipped in the air and landed back on the stone. His sea of consciousness was a mess. He quickly ate a few dual spirit pills before barely brining it under control. Little guy, not bad. You have dual spirit pill and spirit sense cultivation method." The middle-aged man praised EMO again. EMO didn't reply. He was shocked. Who had the power to trap a guy who was beyond Immortal Emperor with spirit sense? EMO felt it was his spirit sense blades. It's not that the middle-aged man didn't want to go, but he couldn't. He was locked up by dense spirit sense nets around him. Some even pierced his body. EMO could use spirit sense net too, but it would only last a few seconds. How long had this middle-aged man been trapped here, and the spirit sense nets were still fine, and with his power he couldn't break free? Just how scary was this? This was definitely beyond the means of an immortal emperor. Perhaps it was really a divine emperor who trapped this man. Seeing that EMO found he was trapped, the middle-aged man didn't waste time and waved his hand, opening a void door. He pointed inside. "Little guy, you probably know what this is, right? Yellow middle plum?" EMO called out in shock. This was the first time he saw another one of the great 10 spirit plants. Yellow middle plum was also one of the 10 great spirit plants. It was ranked second most tasty fruit. If one consumed yellow middle plum, he would be able to learn Tao laws and all sorts of heaven Tao laws. So, yellow middle plum has another name called Tao law fruit. However, it was too hard for it to bear fruit and was a unique existence in the world. If it's really yellow middle plum, I wouldn't be willing to show you. But you're right. This is indeed a branch hacked down from yellow middle plum tree. See, after many years of cultivation, it has borne 3 fruits. It can't compare with the original tree, but it can still help people learn a sliver of Tao law. The middle-aged man said pridefully. EMO breathed easy. If he really saw the yellow middle plum, this middle-aged man would never let him go. Even though this guy was trapped, EMO didn't believe this man wouldn't be able to kill him. "Come over," the middle-aged man said again. EMO shook his head. Seeing this, the middle-aged man smiled. "Before my spirit sense can't break the spirit sense net, but now it can. Even though not much spirit sense can break free, but if I say it's easily enough to kill you, do you believe it?" EMO nodded. "I believe, but believing is one thing and going over is another. If you kill me, then there's no deal. I'm going to be killed by those women if I go out anyways." "Okay." The middle-aged man didn't ask EMO to come over again and said, "You have Mist Lotus Heart Fire, right? It's purple Nirvana level 2. "That's right." It seemed that keeping blue like morning sky in the Golden Page world was good, as this man didn't notice it. His Golden Page world was in the depth of his sea of consciousness. "Let's do a deal. Once your Mist Lotus Heart Fire reaches Immortal Flame Peak, come find me. I'll help your Mist Lotus Heart Fire reach God Flame, and you can use it to burn away the spirit sense net trapping me." The middle-aged man smiled. EMO answered calmly, "First, my Mist Lotus Heart Fire is only just purple Nirvana level 2, much less Immortal Flame Peak. Second, even if it reaches Immortal Flame, why should I help you? The middle-aged man took out an or once your mist lotus heart fire reaches purple nirvana level 3. This or can upgrade it to immortal flame. Level 9 immortal material star core flame. EMO said in shock. The immortal flames were rare because the materials to upgrade them was too rare. The star core flame was rare amongst rare. This star core flame came from the core of a small planet and has a sliver of fire source. If you want to get one, you must destroy a small planet. Hee, that's right, this is star core flame. If your mist lotus heart fire is purple nirvana level 3, this is enough to make it level 5 immortal flame. After that, it's not hard to upgrade it to immortal flame peak, right? The middle-aged man seemed certain EMO would be interested. Then he pointed at the yellow middle plum. There's 3 fruits here. I can give you one later. Of course, other than these, I can help you leave here. EMO knew things weren't going to be simple. After giving these things to him, what if he didn't come back in the future? But I will leave a sliver of spirit sense mark on you. Otherwise, if you don't come back, I would be losing big. The middle-aged man seemed to know what EMO thought. EMO felt this was normal. But when my mist lotus heart fire reached immortal flame peak, and I come back to save you, wouldn't I be giving my flame and life to you? EMO frowned and asked. The middle-aged man laughed. Would I want your flame? Even if you give it to me for free, I wouldn't want to look at such trash flame. I have plenty of heaven flame. A mere mist lotus heart fire is nothing. As for your life, it's like an insect, I can crush it now. EMO's face was very bad, but he knew this guy was speaking the truth. Seeing this, he finally couldn't take it. If you have this many heaven flames, then give me a few. Why use my trash mist lotus heart fire? Plus, I believe not even God flame would be able to burn this spirit sense restriction, right? The middle-aged man nodded. You have some knowledge. God flame can't burn it indeed, but by the time you come, I would have erased enough of the restriction. God flame would barely be enough. Even if you want to help me now, it's useless. You need to be at least immortal king. Of course, if you don't trust me, you can come when you're immortal monarch. I'm at most equivalent to an immortal monarch now. Reach immortal king? What if I never reach immortal king in my entire life? Then I wouldn't need to come help. EMO scorned. He wouldn't believe this guy was just equivalent to an immortal monarch regardless if it's real or false. The middle-aged man shook his head. Even I can't tell what cultivation method you use. It's definitely the best amongst the best. You can reach great extreme immortal and immortal spirit body at such a young age, and now you used the ethereal immortal pond to cleanse your body. You can definitely reach immortal monarch within 10,000 years. 10,000 years is just a cup of wine for me. I'm in no rush. EMO was shocked. Did this old guy realize he was using a chaos cultivation method? Perhaps he was pretending he didn't know. After a long while, EMO said, Okay, but I don't want your yellow middle plum. I want a branch. Haha. Very well, have it. The middle-aged man broke a branch and gave it and the star core flame to EMO without hesitation. EMO took the two and frowned. How come I feel like I'm losing? Not necessarily. The middle-aged man waved his hand and the void gates closed again. He then looked at EMO in satisfaction. You don't know how long it took for these 3 yellow middle plum to grow. I feel it's too much of a pity to give it to you. But good thing you know your boundaries. But if you have the chaos world, taking the branch is the right choice. EMO was overwhelmed with shock. Did this guy know he had chaos world? If so, how can he let him go easily? Of course that's impossible. Other than those 2 old guys, who would have chaos world? Yellow middle plum can only live in the chaos world. In other places, it would turn into ordinary immortal spirit herb. Of course, it's still a fake chaos immortal spirit herb. Don't be too disappointed. EMO looked at the branch not knowing if he should laugh out loud or so you really know me. But EMO said nothing and just dazedly stared at the branch. He knew that in front of such old monster, an extra word meant an extra danger. EMO threw the branch into his storage ring and instead looked at the star core flame for a long while. The middle-aged man took out another rune and threw it at EMO. This is an escape rune. As long as you don't encounter Immortal Emperor, you can get away. This was a good thing. EMO quickly took it and his face looked better. You said you're going to mark my body. Hurry up and do it. I need to go. EMO said. The middle-aged man smiled. Mark, I've already done it. You just haven't realized yet. Hearing this, Emo quickly scanned his entire body with his spirit sense. It was completely fine. You don't need to scan anymore. If my mark is so easily found, I might as well go kill myself. Plus, even if you find it, you wouldn't be able to destroy it. The middle-aged man said in contempt. Then, the middle-aged man threw 2 more jade cards at Emo. These are 2 transmission runes. Crush the white one and you can go out. You will be sent outside the ethereal immortal pond. Once you can come back in, crush the red one and you will come back here. Emo felt a little uneasy in his heart holding the 2 jade cards, but he knew he had no choice. He threw the red one in his storage ring and said to the middle-aged man, "Next time I come, I wouldn't be caught by that person who locked you up, right? Don't worry. It's uncertain if that wretched woman even lived. Just come." Before the middle-aged man finished, Emo crushed the jade card and said, "Then I'll meet you again." Seeing Emo disappear in white light, the middle-aged man frowned and said to himself, "How come I feel something isn't quite right?" Emo stopped steady and found he was outside ethereal immortal pond indeed, but not very far from it. He knew the ethereal immortal pond wasn't going to let him go, so Emo didn't dare to stay here. He sent a message to Li Kuan and immediately fled. Ethereal Immortal Pond was having a big meeting. Ning Yu didn't have time to stay with Li Kuan. Li Kuan could only daze by herself as though the beautiful scene around her was nothing. She was thinking if something would happen to Emo and why can't things be perfect in the world. Just when Feng she has hopes of rebirth, something happened to her brother. At this moment, her communication beads jumped. She looked at it immediately. A row of messages appeared there. "Sister Shiyu, the ethereal immortal pond people might kill me. I've already fled. I'm waiting for you at the old place." Emo sent this news. Li Kuan almost crushed the bead in excitement. But then she also felt Emo's worry. If the ethereal immortal pond really wanted to kill him, even she wouldn't be able to protect him. But no matter how difficult it was, she was going to protect Emo and give him an identity that won't be wanted. She knew just how powerful an emperor sect was. Hiding was completely useless. Soon, she pressed down her excitement and was immediately about to leave. Ning Yu couldn't come out now. Wu Luan knew what Ning Yu wanted and quickly sent Li Kuan away. Emo didn't wait for long and a dashing light came. Soon Li Kuan's excited face showed. "Brother? It's great. I thought something happened to you. Emo didn't know what happened, but he knew Li Kuan was probably worried about him. He quickly said, "Sister Shiyu, sorry, I made you worry." "No, it's fine as long as you're okay. I was so worried," Li Kuan said. "Sister Shiyu, let's leave here first." Emo released Blue Moon and said. Li Kuan nodded and didn't release her flying magic artifact. She got on Emo's Blue Moon. On the Blue Moon, Emo heard what Li Kuan told him and realized that the middle-aged man was right. Being in the ethereal immortal pond was indeed not know if the sect knew. Emo didn't tell her about the middle-aged man so that Li Kuan wouldn't worry. He just said that he felt things might not be good after feeling how useful the pond was, so he ran away with a transmission rune. Li Kuan was very happy hearing that Emo benefited greatly from the pond. "Sister Shiyu, I'm afraid I won't be able to go to that Dao discussion social. If ethereal immortal pond finds me there, they might hunt me." "Not necessarily. If you were stopped inside the ethereal immortal pond, it wouldn't be good, but now I believe it shouldn't be a big problem. No matter how powerful ethereal immortal pond is, they wouldn't dare to come out and capture people. Plus, you were let in by the saint. Even if there was a fault, they would blame it on Ning Yu. Don't worry about Ning Yu. At most, she would be punished to not be saint. She doesn't seem to want to stay in that position anyways." Li Kuan comforted. It was all the top prodigies who went to the Dao discussion social. Everyone had their own understanding of Dao. Of course, Li Kuan wanted Emo to go. Worst comes to worst, she would ask her master to help. "Sister Shiyu, do you know what the ethereal immortal pond usually does? Would they treat stealing resources seriously?" Emo asked worriedly. If ethereal immortal pond was a generous sect, then they might not take things seriously. Emo thought of the middle-aged man's Demon Joy sect. He said that the women from ethereal immortal pond were worse than them. Emo didn't know what Demon Joy sect was, but from the middle-aged man's tone it didn't seem to be a good sect. I don't know, but Ethereal Immortal Pond is an emperor sect. They shouldn't be stingy enough to hunt people for using their pond? Plus, we were invited by the saint. How is this stealing resources? Li Kuan said. Do you know Demon Joy sect? How does that sect behave? Emo asked again. Li Kuan's face blushed and spat. Brother, don't mention that sect again. You can't get close to the women from that sect. None of them are good. Don't loosen your guard just because they are pretty. They're shameless and will eat you dry. If you want dual cultivation partner, sister will help you find one. Emo waved his hand awkwardly. Sister Shiyu, you've mistaken, I already have a wife. I don't want dual cultivation partner. I heard someone say Ethereal Immortal Pond is worse than Demon Joy sect, so I'm just asking. Li Kuan slapped Emo's hand. What are you on about? If the Ethereal Immortal Pond goddesses heard this would be worse than you using their pond. How can you compare the two sects? But clearly, Li Kuan was more interested in Emo's wife and asked, Brother, where is your wife? Is she pretty? Does she deserve my brother? Emo rubbed his head. Sister Shiyu, my wife is still in the cultivation realm. Look, I forgot about the important business. Li Kuan smiled. Don't worry, I will tell my master that you're my brother. The Ethereal Immortal Pond wouldn't not give face to my master. Don't worry about this, we'll go to Pingliang Immortal City first and then take teleportation formation to Yuandong Heaven. My master will go as well. With this, Emo felt a little assured. The middle-aged man had conflict with the Ethereal Immortal Pond. Of course he would curse the Ethereal Immortal Pond. He couldn't trust him too much. Emo gave the controls of Blue Moon to Li Kuan while he went inside to Serac for that spirit sense mark. Even if he couldn't remove it, he would find it first. Just when Emo was about to search another time, Blue Moon shook and slowed down. Emo immediately came to the front. What happened? Sister Shiyu? Emo asked. At the same time he saw a golden boat before Blue Moon. Sister Shiyu, who is this person? There were two people on their one Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary stage and another Great Eternity Immortal Peak stage. It was the halfway Immortal King Great Eternity Immortal asking the question. He had a smile on his face, but seeing Emo come out his face sunk. Even Emo could feel his killing intent. Lu Mang, do I need to report to you who he is? Who are you to me? Please be respectful with your tone. Sister Shiyu is not for you to say. Li Kuan said with a bleak face. Emo realized it was the little Immortal King. His dad was a Heaven Domain Lord. Lu Mang realized his tone was wrong and immediately smiled. Sorry. Goddess Shiyu, I was thinking about things before. My tone wasn't good, don't take it seriously. Then he saluted with his fists to Emo. I'm Lu Mang. I like making friends, so everyone calls me Little Immortal King. May I ask who you are? I'm Emo because I don't like making friends. People call me Lonely Fake Emperor. Emo said. Emo was certain that if he left alone, this guy would chase after him and interrogate what his relationship with Shiyu is. Regardless, they were enemies now, so Emo wasn't going to show him a good face. Calling himself Fake Emperor was a scorn at him for not being an Immortal King but still calling himself Little Immortal King. Li Kuan almost laughed out hearing this, but Lu Mang's face sunk again. How could Lu Mang not hear the scorn in Emo's words? He had been prideful to be called Little Immortal King, but now he was scorned. Lu Mang, if you have no business, then we'll be going. Li Kuan was very unhappy that Lu Mang suddenly stopped Blue Moon and interrupted Emo's cultivation. Then he asked who Emo was rudely. Now her tone had a sliver of disgust. Lu Mang's fury flashed and immediately knew that if he continued down like this, it would only make Li Kuan hate him more. Li Kuan wasn't a goddess that he could do anything to. He couldn't casually abuse even an ordinary sect members of Longyu Emperor sect, much less a core disciple. Thinking about this, Lu Mang suppressed his fury and smiled. Since 11 you goddess is busy, Lu Mang won't interrupt. Next time I will come visit you at Longyu Emperor sect. Goodbye. Then Lu Mang disappeared. He really left. Having a Heaven Lord dad makes all the difference. Emo looked at Lu Mang and sighed. Lu Mang was halfway Immortal King. His immortal essence was very dense and stable. Li Kuan smiled. Qianzhe Immortal Emperor isn't his dad but his master. However, Xianxia Immortal Emperor is very nice to him and his talent is top grade in Changrong Heaven. He has the right to be arrogant. Seeing him go past here, he seems to be going to the Pingliang Immortal City to take the teleportation formation. He's probably going to the Yuan Dong Heaven Dao discussion social. Emo didn't have the mood to find that spirit sense mark anymore after this. He sat in Blue Moon chatting with Li Kuan instead. Blue Moon flew only for half a day and another issue happened. Two great Eternity Immortals were fighting ahead and even blocked Blue Moon's road. EMO wanted to control Blue Moon to move aside, but one of the great Eternity Immortal threw out a rune and soon disappeared. Seeing this, the other great Eternity Immortal vented his fury on EMO and Li Kuan. He blocked Blue Moon with his magic artifact. Before he attacked, another flying magic artifact came over quickly. There were two great Eternity Immortal on there as well. These two were Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage, but the first one was Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary Stage. Martial Brother Pang Tai. Where is the person? One Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage asked. Pang Tai sneered. He got away because these two stopped me. You're asking to die. The two Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage immediately surrounded. Pang Tai said to the two Ming Kai, kill that small Great Extreme Immortal. Guang Hui and I will take on this woman. Ming Kai's killing intent immediately rose and so did his power. Clearly he really wanted to kill Emo. Li Kuan released her magic artifact without hesitation. She had never seen such unreasonable people. Emo sneered, Lu Meng only sent you guys? Li Kuan instantly realized that these three guys were sent over by Lu Meng. He couldn't attack himself, so he sent these three. If two of them stop her, the other one could kill Emo. Li Kuan just wanted to grab Emo, but Pang Tai attacked. With this, Guang Hui also seemed off Li Kuan. Now Ming Kai released a fire red stone sword. To him, Emo was dead. The fire sword raised a 3 kilometers long red rainbow and hacked down. Space and sound turned to nothing with this strike, as though evaporated by fire. Rumble. The sword seemed to have melted all the space nearby and all that was left was black void. The pressure that landed with this strike in the heaven gave people a feeling of despair. Even Li Kuan felt the despair from the sword and called out in shock, if Lu Meng dares to kill my brother, I'm going to fight him with my life. She was really shivering. This strike was clearly going to kill Emo. How could a great extreme immortal primary stage stop this? Ming Kai indeed wanted to kill Emo with this strike. The order they received was to kill Emo as quickly as possible. Then they can run. In that moment, the heavens were covered by the red color and Emo was traceless inside. Li Kuan in her desperation was full of openings, but her opponents didn't deal killing blows. They seemed to be fighting with her at full power but only really blocked her off. It was someone who played with fire. Emo felt the endless fire and special pressure. This immortal had a special flame. This wasn't bad for a great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage. When the huge sword fell down with the flame, Zisu hacked out. Emo's first god art, Rainbow. This wasn't even a god art yet, it only had a sliver of god art. It was between magic artifact and god art. Emo wanted to test how strong the god art he learned at the Dao Seeking Tower was. This was only his weakest move. A purple color lit up amongst the red. The purple color instantly filled the red flaming sky. The purple color soon turned to countless colors and the black void was turned colorful. The void seemed to be filled with life now. Rumble. The rainbow and red clashed together. Red color splashed everywhere and the rainbow color expanded rapidly. Crack. A terrifying explosion sounded in the air. Their fights even paused for a moment while scanning their spirit sense over. Zisu and the stone sword clashed. The stone sword made a cracking sound as though it was about to break. When the rainbow-colored sword rays came at him, Ming Kai just realized in shock that his lethal blow was gone. At this moment he felt the threat of death. How could there be such a powerful great extreme immortal? He was only a great extreme immortal primary stage. Ming Kai didn't dare to think about it and released a hemisphere barrier immediately. He was scared. Never had there been a person a few levels lower than him make him feel this scared. Thud thud thud. The endless rainbow sword ray smashed on his barrier and the barrier immediately dimmed down. He was definitely no match for this guy. Ming Kai immediately realized. Run. Just a few seconds Ming Kai knew that if he didn't run he would die here. The young master's order was important, but his life was more important. He immediately activated mobility technique. Void, kill. Emo didn't even care, he didn't even take back Zissou and just punched. Void. This was a true god art, his first real god art. It fused how Heaven Finger and Space Law. He had tried Rainbow and this half-god art gave him results far beyond his expectation. He wanted to try what his real god art was like. The space nearby seemed to have compressed over and the endless killing intent was closed together by space into this fist. This fist had terrifying and unrelentless killing force that dazed Li Kuan and them. They looked at this fist in terror. This wasn't something a great immortal could release. Not even Immortal King might be able to release such a terrifying punch. Immortal King would have more damage, but they wouldn't have this killing and grand force. What fist was this? Whirlpools swirled in the void. No, this wasn't whirlpool, this was killing chi and killing force forming into a destructive chi. Thud. Blood sprayed in the air. Ming Kai wasn't even able to walk one step away and was turned to nothing by this punch. The killing force of this punch still hadn't completely dissipated, and it swept Ming Kai's terrified essence spirit into the whirlpool. The two great Eternity Immortals fighting Li Kuan looked at Emo in pure shock. What power was this? It was only less than 10 seconds and a great Extreme Immortal killed a great Eternity Immortal. If Emo was Great Eternity Immortal peak stage and Ming Kai was Great Eternity Immortal and then after an intense battle Emo killed Ming Kai, that would be more logical. But Emo was only Great Extreme Immortal primary stage, but Ming Kai was Great Eternity Immortal middle stage. The difference in power was huge. How could this happen? The two woke up instantly. Emo was this terrifying. If he came to stop them, they wouldn't even be able to get away. Run. The two Great Eternity Immortal immediately used mobility technique and disappeared tracelessly. Emo looked at his fist dazedly. That rainbow half-god art already gave him great confidence, but this void made him realize what was real god art. Thinking about the how Heaven Finger that almost annihilated him, Emo was more and more satisfied with his void. He didn't know the two Great Eternity Immortal ran away, but even if he did, he didn't care. He had a few god arts now, and he only used one strike and punch to kill that Great Eternity Immortal middle stage. This meant that he could fight Great Eternity Immortal peak stage or even kill them. Brother! Li Kuan flew over in joy. She didn't expect Emo was stronger than her. Were all immortal spirit body immortals this terrifying? Emo breathed and took Ming Kai's storage ring before calling, Sister Shiyu. I was so scared. I didn't expect you were this strong. Was that punch god art? Li Kuan couldn't hide the joy and surprise on her face. Emo nodded, yes. It's a god art I created. I'll mark a jade slip for you. But that punch requires a sliver of space law. Just when Li Kuan wanted to say she didn't need it, she heard space law and spoke in shock again. You actually know a sliver of space law? Emo nodded in this occasion. I touch a sliver of space law. So I combined it with an attack from my opponent to create this punch. Let's go first. Li Kuan pulled Emo on Blue Moon and then said, Brother, you must not tell people you know space law. If people know you can master law as a great extreme immortal, they might think you have some secret. I understand. Emo replied seriously. More talented people find it easier to control a sliver of law, but this wasn't definite. It's mainly about learning capabilities and fortune. No matter how great your talent was, if you had bad learning capabilities or fortune, you wouldn't be able to master such thing. Now that your tracks are exposed, the ethereal immortal pond would know you're fine even if you hide. When we're at Yuandong Heaven, come see my master with me. I'll ask my master to help explain things. Li Kuan said. Emo fell silent for a moment and said, Sister Shiyu, at Yuandong Heaven, I want to find a solitary place to cultivate and wait for things to calm down before coming back. Li Kuan thought about it and agreed. She nodded, okay. After I settle your things you come and find me. However, you killed Lu Mang's men. He wouldn't dare to attack you overtly, but he would attack from the dark. Be careful of that person. I know. I think even if he's fake Immortal King, I won't be afraid of him. Emo had a direct sense of his god art. As long as Lu Mang didn't reach Immortal King, he really wasn't afraid of him. Li Kuan also felt proud. Who was Lu Mang? He didn't have a match below Immortal King, but Yemo said he wasn't afraid of him. She knew Yemo wasn't bullshitting. The two chatted on the way and took another teleportation formation. It was only 2 days and they arrived at Pingliang Immortal City. The two didn't walk around the city and headed straight to the teleportation formation. The two had decided that at Yuandong Heaven, Yemo would leave alone. Staying with Li Kuan was too eye-catching. Brother Yi. As soon as they arrived at the teleportation formation, there was the greeting from Ji Shu. Ji Shu was overjoyed to see Yemo, but then he dazed. He saw Li Kuan next to him. Ji Shu, Qi Baitsong, Zhou Ruyan, Yin Hui and them all looked at Yemo in shock as well as Li Kuan next to her. Haha, Brother Yi, I bluff in front of you before, you're the real master. Amazing, amazing. Qi Baitsong raised his thumb believing Yemo was with Li Kuan now. Yemo smiled, Brother Qi. You got it wrong. Li Kuan is my sister. Yes, I know, sister and brother, of course I know. Qi Baitsong's face was covered in understanding. Brother Qi, Brother Ji, you guys are going to Yuandong Heaven Dao discussion social, right? We can go together. Yemo said. Qi Baitsong quickly signaled to Ji Shu, but Ji Shu already knew. He quickly said, Brother Yi, we still have some business, we'll go later. You can go with Goddess Shi Yu first, we'll talk at the Dao discussion social. Then, they quickly left the teleportation formation as though they were just here to have a look. Yemo shook his head and could only go on the teleportation formation with Li Kuan first. He would explain this misunderstanding later. I think you all guess wrong, Zhou Ruyan said. Seeing the four look at her in confusion, she said, I feel Martial Brother Yi was serious. He really became brother and sister with Li Kuan. Huh? They immediately stopped talking and looked at Zhou Ruyan. If this was real, it would be too strange. Sigh. Let's chase over quickly. I have a few questions I need to ask Brother Yi. Ji Shu quickly said. They all agreed and hurried back to the teleportation formation. They moved away before to give the two personal time. Yemo didn't know they came back wanting to go Yuandong Heaven with him. He had separated with Li Kuan now. 10 days later, Yemo appeared at the extreme south where the Hao Heaven heritage was. He came to find Will Mountain. Yemo thought Will Mountain would be very famous, but he had been asking around for a few days and still didn't get an exact location. He was wasting time. At the same time, he looked down on Hao Heaven Grand Emperor for only leaving a bead and mountain name for heritage. Yemo came to an immortal town. He came to ask about the Will Mountain. This town was very distant. The main reason for the establishment of this town was to convenience trade for those cultivators finding cultivation resources. Thus, the biggest place in the town was a marketplace. Yemo walked into a spirit rest tower and just when he wanted to ask about the Will Mountain, he heard people talk about Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Yemo listened in. This Feng Kong Grand Emperor seemed to be related to him. The immortal wine at this town wasn't on the same level as the drunk Jade Well, but it had enough immortal spirit chi. It was 4 immortals, 2 abstruse immortal tertiary stage and 2 great unity immortal primary stage talking about Feng Kong Grand Emperor. It said that other than Feng Kong Grand Emperor, Dragong River Grand Emperor would also be going to this Dao discussion social. I heard there's 3 Grand Emperors going this time. Wei Feng Grand Emperor would also be going. Although he hadn't become a Grand Emperor for long, he might be one of the new 4 great Grand Emperors. Yes, I believe this Wei Feng Grand Emperor is very powerful and is on par with the other 3 Grand Emperor. However, it has never happened that this Dao discussion social was taken so seriously. You don't know. I just got news that this Dao discussion social will be held at Fallen Emperor Mountain. There are plenty of rewards, even Emperor Dao heritage. Isn't it held at Lingji Immortal City? Why is it Fallen Emperor Mountain now? After hearing their discussion for a while, Yemo finally understood something. For some reason, all the Grand Emperors came to Yuandong Heaven. Because of this Dao discussion social became important. They didn't talk about Feng Kong Grand Emperor anymore, nor did Yemo dare to go up and ask. One can discuss a Grand Emperor with respectful tone, but if people investigated Grand Emperor, people might report you. Yemo was very careful about this. Do you know why they would suddenly change the location to Emperor Fall Mountain? Someone joined the discussion. No, Do you know Immortal Friend? I know. That's why I'm planning to go. Immortal Friend. Please explain it. The others asked. This Immortal was straightforward. It said that some strange things have been happening lately at Emperor Fall Mountain. There's frequent Emperor rays shining. It said an ancient ruin is about to appear. Thus, this Tao discussion is chosen to be at Emperor Fall Mountain, so some prodigies can go in to find the ancient ruin. I've heard about the Emperor rays in the mountain these few years. It said that Emperor Light is Emperor Tao Crystal. Many people went to find the ruin, but all of them who went in died. Someone else said. Emo heard and thought, Emperor Tao Crystal? Was that Emperor Fall Mountain will mountain? He didn't plan to take the Emperor Tao Crystal, but with it was a few immortal ranges. Just when Emo wanted to ask about Emperor Fall Mountain, someone said, can people go in the Emperor Fall Mountain? Going in is certain death. If we let those prodigies enter that mountain and something happens, it would be a loss for the grand heaven domain. I don't know, but there's a reason it's set there. I heard a few immortal emperors would be using heavenly means to set up formation and restriction at the mountain, allowing the prodigies to go in safely. One immortal said, Emo really wanted to know if the Will Mountain was the Emperor Fall Mountain. If it was, why didn't the immortal emperors go in themselves? But he didn't want to arouse suspicion, so he didn't ask. Yeah, before people just couldn't go in the mountain, but there was no Emperor Light. Recent years, there's not only frequent Emperor Light, but also dense immortal spirit chi. It might really be an ancient ruin. Emo heard this and suddenly realized something. A few years ago was when how Heaven's essence spirit completely died. It was when the last sliver of essence spirit turned into a will bead. How Heaven Emperor said this bead could find his heritage. Was it due to his death that something happened to the Emperor Tao Crystal? Perhaps even how Heaven Grand Emperor didn't know this would happen. Regardless, Emo had decided to go to Emperor Fall Mountain. This Emperor Fall Mountain is a strange name. It doesn't seem very auspicious. Emo carefully added. Hearing this, they were contemptuous, but seeing Emo was great extreme immortal, those expressions quickly disappeared. One abstruse immortal sucked up, Chen Bei must be from some other place. The reason it's called Emperor Fall Mountain is that the will power and pressure of the mountain is too great. The higher the power, the more likely you are to die inside. If a mortal emperor went in, it's 99% chance they will die. Will power? Emo asked. The abstruse immortal immediately explained, yes, will power. There's not only that, but also endless void pressure. It's like the entire universe is on your shoulders. Once you go in, you can't retreat. If you reach your limit, you would be crushed by the pressure. The higher the power, the greater the pressure. Yes, will power not only contains the pressure of the void but pressure of time. There's time distortions inside. Sometimes you're very young when you go in, but if you encounter this power of time, your life might soon reach an end. Or you might return to an infant and disappear from this world. Someone else explained. Thank you. I didn't expect this Emperor Fall Mountain to be this powerful. Emo thanked. Emo was 90% certain that Emperor Fall Mountain was Will Mountain. He didn't understand why how Heaven Grand Emperor didn't call it Emperor Fall Mountain. Now, Emo realized why the Grand Emperors located the Tao discussion social at the mountain. They were using them to go inside and find how Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage for them. As for them joining up to reduce the pressure, Emo was dubious about this. Perhaps they had such capability, but the reduction was definitely very limited. Otherwise, they wouldn't need other people to find the heritage for them. Emo quietly left the Immortal Rest Tower and released Blue Moon heading towards Emperor Fall Mountain. He had to go see it regardless. The immortal ranges mattered to Emo too much. With all those immortal range and his immortal pill and fruits, Emo was confident in reaching Great Eternity Immortal Peak Stage in one solitary cultivation. Then, he would have chance to reach Immortal King. Emo also decided to go to Gonghua Heaven as soon as he reaches Immortal King. He had ascended for a long while. Who knows if there are MOU city people ascending to Immortal Realm. The Immortal Realm isn't that perfect. Emo was worried about them, especially Su Jingwen. Her talent was the best. She would be the first to ascend. The mountain wasn't very far from the town Emo was at. Emo only used a day or so and came to the outskirts of the mountain. A temporary huge marketplace was formed here. More and more immortals were coming. Emo easily found out that this was indeed the place of the Dao discussion social, and there really were emperor lights shining. It's been frequent a few years ago, but less in these 2 years. Emo scanned his spirit sense out, and he couldn't see the whole outlook of the mountain. It was obscure in his spirit sense. Emo left the crowded area and headed towards the Emperor Fall Mountain secretly. When he was still very far from the foot of the mountain, he felt a terrifying pressure. He couldn't handle it. Emo wasn't able to ensure he would last till the foot of the mountain. He took out that will bead, and as soon as he did, an arrow inside the bead pointed towards the mountain. Such a sneaky how heaven Grand Emperor. It really is the Emperor Fall Mountain. Why didn't this guy explain it, or was there some story behind it? Regardless, Emo wasn't going to die for those few immortal ranges. Just when he wanted to put away the bead shot out a faint barrier that enveloped him. Instantly, Emo felt the pressure disappear, or reduced by 90% specifically. What was going on? Emo put away the will bead, and that terrifying will pressure came again. He picked up the will bead, and the barrier formed again to protect him. Emo put away the will bead. This will bead was morphed from a grand emperor. He was certain how heaven's essence spirit had dissipated, but relying on others' protection to go in and get his heritage. Emo didn't believe things were so good. Although he agreed to give the Emperor Dao Crystal and other heritage to Xianxia, he didn't believe how Heaven Grand Emperor would believe him. How Heaven had no choice to give the heritage to him, but if he did something such as the protection suddenly disappearing when he found the heritage, then he would die. How Heaven Grand Emperor knew he had very precious items. What if he schemed something? Emo wouldn't be able to see it. Emo didn't think he was smarter than a Grand Emperor who had lived for countless years. The only thing he could do was be very careful. If he couldn't find a way to stop the pressure without using the will bead, Emo would rather not go in the mountain. His memories of the Void Ghost ship were still clear. If he didn't have the power, he would rather not be greedy. Emo didn't use the will bead to stop the pressure this time. He tried using the spirit sense net he saw at the ethereal immortal pond. If he could change his spirit sense net towards that spirit sense net, perhaps it would be able to stop this will pressure. The Dao discussion social hadn't begun yet. It was time for him to slowly try. Emo slowly reached out his spirit sense domain. When it reached to a certain range, Emo immediately felt that pressure really dropped a little, but it wasn't obvious. Feeling this way would work, Emo started to reminisce the spirit sense net he saw in the pond and the direction it was set up as he modified his own spirit sense net. Time passed as Emo tried. 10 days later, a vibrant light suddenly thought of from the depth of the Emperor Fall Mountain into the clouds. A chi of great Dao artifact shot out from the white light. Those immortals outside immediately knelt or sat and focused on feeling this Dao chi. Emo was shook by that light and instantly realized how to set up spirit sense net to block the willpower. When he saw that vibrant Emperor light, he had the feeling to worship it. He wanted to fuse that Emperor Dao crystal into his soul and completely forgot he was setting up spirit sense net. Emo closed his eyes and forced that thought away. That wasn't his Dao, he didn't need Emperor Dao crystal. After 5 minutes, Emo's sea of consciousness and essence spirit cleared up. He immediately set up his newly learned spirit sense net. As soon as it formed, all the willpower and pressure nearby disappeared. Emo didn't rejoice. There was just serenity in his heart. He knew that his mind state went one level higher. His spirit will 9 transformations went from the obscure level 2 soul shatter to level 3 domain birth. When Emo opened his eyes again, that Emperor light had disappeared. Emo breathed easy. He relied on spirit will 9 transformations and that spirit sense net from the ethereal immortal pond to find a way to stop the willpower pressure. But even so, Emo didn't go into the Emperor Fall Mountain immediately. He was able to stay alive on the ghost ship because he was careful. Emo retreated and left on Blue Moon instead. 100,000 km later, Emo stopped. He could set up long-distance teleportation formation, but that would take a long time. In a short while, 100,000 kilometers was the maximum distance he could set up. This was enough for him to escape from the mountain and leave casually. After setting up the teleportation formation, Emo didn't go into the Emperor Fall Mountain immediately. Instead, he left to another far location and went into the Golden Page world. The first thing he did was to take out the star core flame. It was meant to be used to upgrade Mist Lotus Heartfire, but EMO wasn't really going to use it on the Mist Lotus Heartfire. Blue like Morning Sky was Purple Nirvana level 3. Of course he would use it to upgrade Blue like Morning Sky. He would prepare himself as well as he could. If he upgraded Blue like Morning Sky to Immortal Flame, he would have an extra chance of survival. Even though EMO knew the middle-aged man probably wouldn't do anything to the star core flame, EMO still checked it carefully before letting out Blue like Morning Sky. EMO then threw the star core flame into Blue like Morning Sky. Rumble. The terrifying blue flame charged into the sky. EMO quickly moved to the side. Luckily, he was prepared this time and tested in the corner of the Golden Page world. Otherwise, this blue smoke can dry up his immortal spirit herb garden. The vibrant blue immediately illuminated the entire Golden Page world. Even though Blue like Morning Sky was his own, EMO felt the intense scorch. The blue flame rolled in the air, but EMO felt waves of chaos chi charge into the Blue like Morning Sky and was quickly devoured. Suddenly, EMO felt there was something extra in the Golden Page world. That thing seemed to be circulating around Blue like Morning Sky. EMO was certain that if the Golden Page world wasn't his, he wouldn't be able to feel that. This was because that thing only existed in will, it had no physical body. The Blue like Morning Sky was his, and so was the Golden Page world. The star core flame had been devoured by Blue like Morning Sky, and the chaos chi was devoured by Blue like Morning Sky too. He could feel all of this. If there was something he couldn't control in here, it wasn't his. What would it be then? No color. No body. Even the upgraded Blue like Morning Sky couldn't burn it? EMO sweated cold immediately. He finally understood what this was. It was definitely the spirit sense mark of that middle-aged man. He just thought that there was no way he would leave it in the star core flame, but immediately he found it now. If he really upgraded Mist Lotus Heartfire with the star core flame, he might not be able to detect it even with the Golden Page world. After all, Mist Lotus Heartfire was too low grade. Once the Heaven Flame upgrade, he would take it back. That invisible thing would immediately fuse into his body. This old thing was too scary. EMO finally realized how cocky he was before. If he really thought he would be able to find it, it would be a joke. Even if he was at Immortal King, he might not be able to find it if it was on his body. But the old guy miscalculated. He had Blue like Morning Sky and Golden Page world. Now the mark was forced out by Blue like Morning Sky. Blue like Morning Sky couldn't burn it, but the mark couldn't go in the Blue like Morning Sky anymore. Could only circulate Blue like Morning Sky. If EMO took Blue like Morning Sky back now, the thing would still go into his body. EMO wasn't going to let that happen, of course. Blue like Morning Sky had finished the upgrade. It was a true blue flame now with 4 golden lines around it. EMO kept setting up restriction and formation flags. He was going to trap this spirit sense mark in the Golden Page world. This world was his. He could do anything he wanted here. Even though he couldn't see the spirit sense mark, EMO used 3 days and completely trapped it. Then he took back Blue like Morning Sky and left the Golden Page world. As for the yellow middle plum, EMO decided to study it later. That old monster's things weren't to be easily taken. EMO felt great after upgrading Blue like Morning Sky and finding that spirit sense mark. He came back to the Emperor Fall Mountain. This time he didn't use his spirit sense net and instead used the will bead to protect him. It could allow him to preserve his spirit sense. The barrier formed, completely covering EMO. EMO sped up forward. The bead couldn't stop all the willpower and pressure, but it could save EMO's life. He just needed to walk slower. Half a day later, EMO was near the foot of the mountain. EMO instantly put away will bead. The terrifying pressure and willpower came. Before they could act on his body, EMO used spirit sense net. EMO found in joy that his spirit sense net had better effect than the will bead, but nearer the mountain, it would just be more taxing. Realizing this, EMO took out the will bead again and released the spirit sense net. His spirit sense already scanned in this brief moment the longevity of time. EMO believed that if he didn't use will bead nor spirit sense net, he would be able to learn time law here. Time law is very terrifying, countless times more terrifying than space law, but EMO didn't do this. He felt his power was too weak. He decided to come back and learn time law once he reached Immortal King. He was introduced to time law at the Tao Seeking Tower. If he came back here to learn the time law, he would achieve a lot. At the bottom of the mountain, Yemo slowed down. He could only walk towards the mountain step by step. The Emperor Fall Mountain seemed to be just before his eyes, but all he could see was just a fuzz. The will bead still had a clear arrow leading Yemo in the direction. 1 day, 2 days, another 10 days later, Yemo found that the Emperor Fall Mountain was still blurry. Yemo stopped and even frowned. If he didn't get in the Emperor Fall Mountain before the start of the Tao discussion social and the few Grand Emperors came, would he be found? Yemo immediately cast these thoughts aside. When the Grand Emperors came, they would definitely see him. Yemo decided to use another 3 days. If in 3 days he still didn't find how Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage, he would leave the Emperor Fall Mountain. After making up this decision, Yemo didn't hesitate and kept following the Emperor Fall Mountain. Another day later, an ethereal river stopped in front of Yemo. There was a misty narrow bridge above the river. The faint misty bridge stretched across the river. There was a stone tablet. 2 words Will River was on it. The arrow in the will bead pointed towards this bridge. It seemed he found the right place. There was Will River and Will Mountain. This bridge is Will River. He couldn't see the other side of the river and his spirit sense was obscured. Yemo stood here for a long time thinking about things. Just those few immortal ranges was worth for Yemo to take this risk. If there was really danger, he would go into the Golden Page world. After making his decision, Yemo stepped onto the Will River. A terrifying feeling came. It was as though Yemo entered a time-space tunnel. The tunnel kept crushing the will bead, and just as he heard before, it was indeed as though the entire universe was crushing down on the will bead. The will bead barrier was shaky, as though it would crack at any time. Even so, the bead wasn't able to stop the full power. The willpower changed the shape of the will bead. Yemo took another step forward and the pressure and willpower seemed even greater. Yemo realized now that how Heaven Grand Emperor left other means. Regardless if he truly wanted to give the heritage to him or not, Yemo felt this guy wasn't genuinely giving the heritage to him because he didn't speak of the dangers here. Because here, he wouldn't even have a chance to return. If the will bead cracked, he would die. Meanwhile, how Heaven Grand Emperor said nothing about this. He just said it was dangerous. Yemo also had the feeling that the will bead wouldn't be able to last him on the way back. If that was really so, then how Heaven calculated that he would die in the Will Mountain. The will bead was barely able to stop the danger, but with it, Yemo could use his immortal spirit body to barely take it. The body refinement cultivation method and 3 birth chant was used at the same time. With Yemo's immortal spirit body and the will bead, Yemo walked further and further until disappearing from the Will River. Outside the Emperor Fall Mountain was completely different to when Yemo came a month ago. There were countless immortals sitting in an orderly fashion around a high altar. The altar was around 10 meters tall but 10 kilometers wide. There were cups of wine and plates of immortal fruits floating around in the air everywhere. Anyone could take it and consume it. A man walked up the main altar slowly. He glanced at the immortals below him before saying loudly, "I'm the Heaven Lord of Yuandong Heaven Zhengren. Thank you, immortal friends from the different heaven domains who have come to participate in the Tao discussion social." A heavy round of applause sounded mixed with countless screams of Zhengren Immortal Emperor. The voices of admiration immediately affected all the immortals here. Zhengren Immortal Emperor smiled and lifted his hand. The reason this Tao discussion social is set at Emperor Fall Mountain is because there is Emperor Tao crystal light in the mountain. This light might be the heritage left behind by how Heaven Grand Emperor. So, before Zhengren Immortal Emperor finished, his voice was taken over by boisterous discussion. Emperor Tao crystal, everyone had fire in their eyes. There weren't many immortal emperors even in the boundless grand heaven domain. But Emperor Tao Crystal could allow immortals to become immortal emperor. Zhengren Immortal Emperor raised his hand again. Everyone calmed down. The light appeared a few years ago. This time, we're having the Tao discussion social here so the elite immortals of the grand heaven domain can go inside and seek the Emperor Tao heritage. The Emperor Fall Mountain is full of danger. Even immortal emperor would most likely die going inside. So, in order to get the Emperor Tao crystal heritage, The two Grand Emperors, Fengkong Grand Emperor and Dragon River Grand Emperor, would be coming. At the same time, Qingwei Heaven Lord, Wei Feng Grand Emperor would also be coming. Then, 3 emperor-crested men stepped down from the air and landed on the altar. Countless immortals went silent and all of them looked at the 4 with respect. "I'm Fengkong Grand Emperor." One middle-aged man walked up to where Xianxia Immortal Emperor stood and smiled. Then, there was a fervent wave of applause and respectful cheers of his name. Fengkong Grand Emperor smiled, and after the immortals calmed down, he said slowly, "Everyone knows that the 33 heaven domains has 4 Grand Emperor. I was lucky enough to become one. We 4 Grand Emperors are close like brothers. We discuss Tao together, wander the heaven domains together, protect the 33 heavens together." Unfortunately, Hao Heaven Grand Emperor was suddenly ambushed and gained up on. This has always been a pity. The Tao discuss square fell silent. Fengkong Grand Emperor's voice sounded light, but it clearly transmitted to everyone's ear. "Dragon River Grand Emperor, Blood Cauldron Grand Emperor, and I have been investigating for countless years, but we still have no clue. Now that there's Emperor Light at the Emperor Fall Mountain, we speculate that it might be Hao Heaven Grand Emperor's Emperor Tao Crystal here. So we came to hold this social. We also want to select a few elite immortals to go into the Emperor Fall Mountain and find Hao Heaven's heritage. No matter who or what power level, as long as you find Hao Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage, the Emperor Tao Crystal will be your reward. Of course, everything in the heritage belongs to the person who obtains it. At the same time, that person will become Dragon River and mine personal disciple. If his talent is exceptional, he would replace the last Grand Emperor." Hearing this, everyone was excited. This was equivalent to being taught by 3 Grand Emperor together. Who would be able to resist such glory? Of course, the Emperor Fall Mountain is full of danger. In order to preserve elite immortals and reduce lethality rate, me, Dragon River Grand Emperor, Wei Feng Grand Emperor and 5 other immortal emperors will be setting up a huge restriction together to suppress the willpower of the Emperor Fall Mountain. Suddenly, Fengkong Grand Emperor's tone changed to a little heavier one. "Although this is so, the willpower will still exist. We can't suppress it completely. There will still be chances of death, so it's up to everyone if they want to go in or not. If you don't want to, you will still be rewarded if you show excellence in the social." Before he finished, the immortals were already cheering to go in the Emperor Fall Mountain. Who didn't want the Hao Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage? The Tao discussion social will now officially begin. Those prodigy immortals who are invited get on the altar. Those immortals who want to challenge them get ready. The top prodigies of the heaven domains all walked up to the altar. Li Kuan was amongst them, but her spirit sense kept scanning outside trying to find Yemo. Yemo watched the surrounding scene on the bridge. He felt that, after walking 3 steps, the road behind him was gone. However, he felt assured instead and kept walking forward. It had been nearly 10 days and even Yemo was a bit confused. However, he suddenly saw that the bridge seemed to have reached an end. After crossing the Will Bridge, Yemo just saw clearly that an ethereal mountain appeared. There was also a huge tablet in front of it with the words Will Mountain. This was the Will Mountain, Yemo just realized. The Emperor Fall Mountain wasn't the Will Mountain. Yemo picked up the Will bead in his hand and wanted to see the direction on it. However, he found in shock that arrow had disappeared already. Before Yemo could return his senses, that barrier that had been protecting him emitted even more mesmerizing light. Not good. Before Yemo could react, that light swept Yemo from the bottom of the Will Mountain and disappeared. Just when Yemo wanted to forcefully expand his spirit sense, he realized that he landed on solid ground. He stood up again and scanned his spirit sense out. He found that he was at the top of the Will Mountain. A terrifying time will power came and that bead kept changing shape as though it was about to be crushed at any time. Yemo looked at the Will bead. He was certain the essence spirit inside had disappeared. Yet such a bead could still teleport him here. Immortal Emperor was too unpredictable. Yemo found that all that was around him was ethereal mist. A baby fist-sized broken orb seemed very obvious in this mist. Yemo was an immortal forgery grand master. He could immediately tell that this orb was a small world. Just when Emo wanted to use Spirit Sense Net to block the surrounding willpower, he suddenly felt the willpower around him disappear. This terrifying will mountain suddenly became ordinary. Emo frowned and walked forward a few steps. There was still no willpower. Did he mistaken how Heaven Grand Emperor? Did he really want to give his heritage to him? Suddenly, the small world exploded and a golden ray charged into the sky. Endless Dao Qi instantly surged at Emo. Emo had seen the power of Emperor Dao Crystal, and so he put a leaf of bitter bamboo in his mouth. Without hesitation, Nad used the 3-birth chant at full power. That terrifying Emperor Dao information wasn't able to affect Emo anymore. Emo breathed easy but found his will bead suddenly fly out. Suddenly, the peak of the will mountain had a hexagonal crystal. The Emperor Dao crystal had disappeared. Emo knew this hexagonal crystal was the Emperor Dao crystal. The will bead flew into the Emperor Dao crystal. Emo was very smart and experienced a lot. He instantly realized what had happened here. No matter how careful he was still tricked. The final result would depend on their battle. There was indeed no essence spirit in the will bead, but Emo brought it to how Heaven Grand Emperor's Emperor Dao crystal. The Emperor Dao crystal had no essence spirit, but the will bead came from how Heaven Grand Emperor's sliver of essence spirit. Now that the Emperor Dao crystal devoured it, it could revive that sliver of essence spirit. No wonder how Heaven Grand Emperor turned into a will bead before he finished asking the questions. The earlier he became the will bead, the stronger his essence spirit would be. Realizing this, Emo ignored the Emperor Dao crystal. His main purpose here wasn't the Emperor Dao crystal. He grabbed at the small world immediately and scanned his spirit sense in. How Heaven said there were a few top-grade immortal range and one extreme-grade immortal range. But now that Emo looked at it, there was only half an extreme-grade immortal range. Emo was furious how Heaven lied so much. A dark drum was in the small world. Emo believed this was the real how Heaven drum. Emo knew its power, but he didn't dare to use it. There were also some jade slips in the small world, magic artifact fragments. Emo was speechless. I know your essence spirit has recovered. Emo waved his hand and took the small world before saying coldly to that Emperor Dao crystal. As soon as Emo said this, an essence spirit floated in the Emperor Dao crystal. No wonder you can get so many good things. You are very calm and still not surprised at all now. You're indeed significant. How Heaven's essence spirit said calmly. Affiant pressure came. He used a completely different tone to the good old man while in Yemo's golden page world. Even though it was just a sliver of essence spirit, Emo could feel the force of the immortal emperor, the pride of an emperor. Emo sneered. Whether I'm significant has nothing to do with you. I came in goodwill to help you take the heritage to your grandson, but you used my goodwill against me. You're indeed bleak. How Heaven smiled. You're wrong. I didn't use your goodwill to ambush you. You're just insolent. Plus, I didn't trick you. I'm still going to give you the heritage, but the arrangement before was unfair. Now, I just want a fair arrangement. Sorry. I'm not planning to deal with someone like you. How Heaven interrupted. Do you think you have my heritage because you took the small world? Or do you think you would be fine going in your chaos world? I'm certain you can't go in your chaos world now. You can try it if you don't believe me. Emo frowned and tried to go in the golden page world, but he found he really couldn't. Space nearby was locked. Seeing Emo's face change, how Heaven's essence spirit said slowly, my sliver of essence spirit won't be able to revive. I'm still certainly dead. Our deal is still effective. As for the words before, I didn't trick you. I indeed have a few immortal range, but I used it to set up formation when I just got here. Otherwise, you would have been crushed by willpower already. Pity, even though I set up formation, my essence spirit was wasted away after countless years. Seeing Emo sneer, how Heaven didn't explain and his tone also became cold and harsh. Agree to my request, and you can leave here whenever you want and take that half-immortal range to cultivate. Otherwise, if I take away the formation, you will be crushed into nothing by the willpower. Emo sneered, is the other requirement for me to give the chaos world to you? How Heaven replied, no need for that. Give your bitter bamboo to Xianxia and help me do one thing. Anything else? Emo's killing intent rose. This was a grand emperor with only a sliver of essence spirit, and he dared to be this cocky. How Heaven Grand Emperor clearly felt Yemo's killing intent and sneered, "Let's not talk about if you can kill me, but even if I use up my essence spirit power, you wouldn't be able to stop the willpower here. I'm a Grand Emperor essence spirit. Unless you have immortal flame, you can't kill me with that purple nirvana mist lotus heart fire. My request is simple, you have this many treasures. It's okay to leave one to Xianxia." "This request is simple indeed," Yemo said. "The second one is even easier. Put my Emperor Dao crystal in your chaos world and help me find a chaos blue reed." How Heaven said as though it was easy like breathing. "But I'm not going to agree to a single one." Yemo sneered and released blue like morning sky. He looked at How Heaven's essence spirit, mist lotus heart fire, isn't enough. But what about immortal flame blue like morning sky? You actually have immortal flame blue like morning sky. How Heaven's essence spirit didn't even finish and instantly took away the willpower formation. Yemo was ready. As soon as the formation was gone, his spirit sense net expanded out. Even though Yemo was fast, the terrifying time power made his hair instantly white. So powerful. Yemo was shook. If he wasn't prepared, he would turn into a pile of bones in a moment. After using the spirit sense net, he felt he could go back in the golden page world again. No wonder you're not scared of willpower. You know spirit will 9 transformations as well. How Heaven stared at Yemo in shock. Yemo said calmly, "I helped you out of goodwill. You don't show any gratitude and instead try to ambush me. I've seen too many people like you. You hide quite a lot. You finally got my heritage. If you see Xianxia, please give the jade slip to him." How Heaven said. He knew he couldn't threaten Yemo anymore. "That's my business. I'm not planning to use Heaven Flame against you. Don't worry." Yemo put away blue like morning sky and waved out a black shadow. He really didn't care about that heritage. If he saw Xianxia, he can give it to him. Shadowless, look, Emperor Dao crystal. If you like it, then eat it. If not, go back to sleeping. Shadowless worm? How Heaven was completely speechless. He really didn't see Shadowless sleeping in the bitter bamboo, but now he did. Seeing this, How Heaven didn't even have the mood to talk to Yemo. He turned into light orbs and disappeared into the Emperor Dao crystal, making it light up more. Shadowless looked at the Emperor Dao crystal with intense desire but didn't dare to go devour it. Yemo knew Shadowless's level was too low and threw him back into the golden page world. Yemo looked at the Emperor Dao crystal and breathed easy. This time it was really an Emperor Dao crystal without a doubt. Yemo put the Emperor Dao crystal in a jade box and then put restrictions over it before sending it into his golden page world. Yemo estimated that the Dao discussion social had begun. He knew that if he used the teleportation formation disk, he must leave immediately or he would be caught by the immortal emperors. Those immortal emperors wouldn't be able to stop the willpower of the Emperor Fall Mountain, but they can definitely feel any space ripples here. Even Immortal King and Immortal Monarch would be able to notice it. Realizing this, Yemo wasn't in a rush to leave and went into the golden page world first. In there, his spirit sense carefully scanned the spirit sense mark left by the middle-aged man. He wanted to leave the spirit sense mark at the Will Mountain, but he didn't know what was the point in doing that. As soon as Yemo's spirit sense went into the mark, it caused some ripples. Yemo was certain that if he didn't bind the spirit sense mark, he wouldn't be able to use spirit sense to check it. When Yemo felt the spirit sense wave, he rejoiced. He was a formation great master. Although he couldn't get out the spirit sense restriction inside the mark, it didn't mean he didn't know what it was. This spirit sense mark was a teleportation formation disk. If someone touched it, it would teleport away the person with the spirit sense mark. This meant that if the spirit sense mark was on him, that middle-aged man would be able to teleport him to the ethereal immortal pond no matter where he was. Yemo took in a cold breath. This guy had calculations upon calculations. If he wasn't lucky, he would have no freedom at all with the spirit sense mark on him unless he stayed in the golden page world. It seems that red jade card was a fake. He didn't know what that red card was for, but it definitely didn't lead to the ethereal immortal pond. Yemo decided to use it first. Yemo picked up the red jade card and neared the spirit sense mark. He had decided to force the spirit sense mark into the red card. However, before he did anything, the middle-aged man's spirit sense mark hid in the red card already. Seeing this, Emo didn't hesitate and went out of the golden page world immediately. He threw out the teleportation formation disk. The teleportation formation disk brought out a veil and swept Emo away from the peak of the Will Mountain. The time will power here was terrifying, but it couldn't stop the teleportation of teleportation formation disk. As soon as Emo came out, he threw out an explosion rune and left behind the red jade card with the middle-aged man's spirit sense mark before teleporting away. Immediately, Emo took out that rune the middle-aged man gave him for escape. It was very precious. The middle-aged man said that as long as it wasn't an immortal emperor here personally, he would be able to get away. It was too much of a pity to use it, but he didn't dare not to. If he dared to be stingy under the eyes of a few immortal emperor, it was asking for death. Thus, he only used instant transmission once. It was to let the immortal emperor spirit sense scan that the space ripple he caused was very ordinary. Now, he rested all his hope on that escape transmission rune. He just hoped it wasn't too bad. At the outskirts of the Emperor Fall Mountain on the Tao discussion stage, an extremely young Great Eternity Immortal was speaking confidently. A few immortal emperors sat in the clouds above the stage and listened. Every word the Great Eternity Immortal spoke was enveloped by special restriction on the stage and turned into Tao sounds falling around people's ears. Focus chi to soft. Noel like infant, cleanse and observe the abstruse. Material nourishment is aging. This isn't Tao, early end if not Tao. Many immortals listened carefully to this Great Eternity Immortal's Tao meaning. Even the immortal emperors nodded from time to time, feeling this Great Eternity Immortal had an unique understanding of Tao. At this moment, the immortal emperors looked at the space above Emperor Fall Mountain at the same time. Emo guessed right. His teleportation formation disk only created very minor space ripple, and these immortal emperors noticed. Even some immortal king and immortal monarch noticed this too. Almost instantly, all the immortal emperors and immortal monarchs scanned their spirit sense out. But after that space ripple, Emo completely disappeared. The few immortal emperors smiled. They knew this ordinary wave wasn't made by a powerful being. Such clear space ripple meant that this person was at most an ordinary immortal king or even below. Peng Yi Immortal Monarch and Ruo Ming Immortal Monarch, go have a look. Zhang Ren Immortal Emperor smiled. He was the person in charge of this social, so he couldn't go over, that way he can't let other immortal emperors go. Feng Kong Grand Emperor and Dragon River Grand Emperor didn't feel this was wrong. They all felt the person who caused that space ripple wouldn't be strong. Even if he hid there, 2 immortal monarchs were enough. Emo felt a whirlpool wrap him away. When he woke up, he didn't find any space ripple wave behind him. This meant that their spirit sense wouldn't be able to scan here. He was safe. Such a powerful rune. Emo sighed. Even a careless immortal emperor might not be able to catch him. But this was a pity. Perhaps what he earned wasn't worth as much as this rune. Just when Emo wanted to check where this was, he saw 2 dashing lights come at him. Emo didn't move. "It's you? You dare to come here?" A very enjoyable voice sounded. Emo saw who it was and rested easy. He scanned his spirit sense out, and when he realized where he was, he cursed. That old bastard teleported him to Ethereal Immortal Pond. "What? Weren't you with your sister?" That voice scorned Emo again. Emo quickly saluted with his fists. "Emo greet Ningyu Saint." Emo felt strange. Theoretically, Ningyu should have the right to go to the Tao discussion social. Why was she at the sect? "Thanks to you, I'm being punished by the sect. I'm no longer a saint. Are you happy?" Ningyu looked at Emo with colder eyes, but she was also bewildered why Emo's hair turned white. Emo looked at the immortal next to Ningyu. He was near Great Eternity Immortal Peak Stage and was extremely handsome. His hair formed a butterfly-shaped crest behind his back, making him seem very ethereal. Looking at these two, Emo thought of something. There were no male disciples in the Ethereal Immortal Pond. This Great Eternity Immortal definitely wasn't from Ethereal Immortal Pond. Yet he still appeared here alone with Ningyu. The only explanation was that he was who she liked. Perhaps she was kicked off Saint because she deigned follow the rules. Thinking about this, Emo smiled. "You agreed to let me go in. I'm very grateful for that. If there's anything I can help you with, I will try my best. Of course, I apologize for leaving here secretly. But you being impeached from Saint position has nothing to do with me, right? Even if it is, it's not the main reason. Ning Yu's face blushed. Of course she knew this. Why did you come back here? Ning Yu didn't Yemo to be taken away by ethereal immortal pond immortal king. If something happened to Yemo, she would only Kuan. I came to find my sister, Yemo said. Didn't Sister Shiyu go to Emperor Fall Mountain Dao discussion? How come you didn't go with her? Ning Yu looked at Yemo in confusion. Seeing her not ask about the ethereal immortal pond, Yemo breathed easy. This meant that the issue wasn't as serious as the middle-aged man said it was. Yemo immediately said in shock, Dao discussion social is at Emperor Fall Mountain? Let me ask her. Yemo immediately took out his communication bead. He was going to tell Li Kuan to not go in the Emperor Fall Mountain. If it isn't for Shiyu, you would be hunted by the ethereal immortal pond right now. Shiyu's master helped. Now you just have to come with me and apologize to ethereal immortal pond. Otherwise, Ning Yu said. The handsome great eternity immortal suddenly said, Ning Yu. He's the great extreme immortal that made sect leader Chan furious? It's him. Ning Yu stared at Yemo. I still need to go ethereal immortal pond. Yemo sent the news and looked at Ning Yu with a troubled face. Of course. Ning Yu said without hesitation. Okay then, you two take me there. By the way, who are you immortal friend? Yemo looked at the handsome great eternity immortal. Ning Yu blushed. It has nothing to do with him, I will take you there. That's fine. Yemo nodded and said to himself, this immortal friend is so handsome. Alekeus the ethereal immortal Panchen Bice later. What's he got to do with you? Ning Yu got annoyed. Yemo said seriously, I see this immortal friend being so handsome. I have a good impression of him, of course I need to ask around. Brother Chun, let's go. Ning Yu glared at Yemo and turned to leave. The handsome great eternity immortal glanced at Yemo with an intriguing look. You have a great future. But we don't seem to know each other. Then he left with Ning Yu goddess. Yemo breathed easy. He knew that the two appeared here because no one knew. If he told this to ethereal immortal pond, there was no benefit to her. Indeed, as soon as he mentioned that great eternity immortal, Ning Yu really ran off. Yemo knew he offended another person. It was that great eternity immortal. His words meant that Yemo didn't know him but used him to threaten Ning Yu. Nevertheless, Yemo didn't care. His life mattered more. Making him go to ethereal immortal pond to apologize was just an excuse. If ethereal immortal pond couldn't find him, they might let him go, but if he really went to ethereal immortal pond, he would be over. Plus, that middle-aged man's power was terrifying. He was teleported here for no reason. Now that Ning Yu left, Yemo immediately used mobility technique and left the range of the sect. Outside the Dao discussion stage, two immortal monarchs landed silently. One of them held a red jade card. Pang Yi, Ru Ming, what's going on? Zhang Ren asked with a frown. The two bowed to the immortal emperors on the side before reporting, Immortal Emperor Master. We didn't find a trace of anyone there. There seemed to be a teleportation formation blown up by an explosion rune. Other than this, there's also this jade card. There's a spirit sense mark inside and we sealed it. Oh, show me. Feng Kong Grand Emperor immediately said. The two immortal monarchs handed the jade card to Feng Kong Grand Emperor. As soon as Feng Kong took the cards, his face changed. What's wrong? Dragon River Grand Emperor immediately asked. Have a look. Feng Kong Grand Emperor gave the card to Dragon River Grand Emperor. Dragon River Grand Emperor had a look and his face also turned bad. He glanced at Feng Kong Grand Emperor before saying, the spirit sense mark is left by at least an immortal emperor peak or even half divine. That's right, but this person is quite heavily injured. If it's such person, then the thing inside Emperor Fall Mountain is probably gone. Feng Kong Grand Emperor said with a bleak face. Then what about the Dao discussion social? Zhang Ren Immortal Emperor thought and asked. It will continue, after all, this is just a guess. But I'm confused. Why did this master casually throw away his spirit sense mark? Feng Kong Grand Emperor said. It was another great eternity immortal on the stage now. He kept explaining his Tao. Many low-level immortals were immersed in this while Li Kuan seemed to be out of it. She had already asked her master to help intervene, so she really wanted to see Yimo now and tell him what happened. At this moment, she suddenly received Yimo's news. Yimo asked her to go back to Changrong Heaven Flying Dawn Immortal City immediately. Yimo didn't say she couldn't go into the mountain. He was scared the immortal emperors might see his message. Li Kuan didn't know how Yimo went to Changrong Heaven again, but she didn't want to stay here anymore. Li Kuan messaged her master saying her brother is looking for her, and she couldn't stay here. Her master was only immortal monarch power, but she had the right to be on the panel of judges since she was from Longyu Emperor sect. Li Kuan's master saw the space ripple at the mountain too. She didn't mind that her disciple couldn't stay here. She never planned to let her disciple go in. Li Kuan was talented but not the number one. There were many immortals much more talented than her, and things seemed to have happened at Emperor Fall Mountain. Although Li Kuan could leave, her master still asked to leave with Zhang Ren Immortal Emperor to pay her respects. Of course Zhang Ren Immortal Emperor wouldn't mind. Li Kuan easily left and headed towards Flying Dawn Immortal City. A few days later, Yimo saw Li Kuan again, the room inside Flying Dawn Tower. Li Kuan was very happy to see Yimo and didn't seem to care about the Tao discussion social at all. Why did you come back to Changrong Heaven again? My master already intervened. I wanted you to go hear the Tao discussion social. Hearing their debates will benefit our cultivation, Li Kuan said excitedly. Yimo smiled and poured a drunken jade well for Li Kuan before setting up a few restrictions and saying, Sister Shiyu, trust me, that Tao discussion social is indeed good, but having it at Emperor Fall Mountain is a mistake. What's going on? Li Kuan asked, seeing Yimo was so careful. Yimo said heavily, Sister Shiyu, the willpower and pressure of the mountain is immense. Even with 8 immortal emperors setting up restriction together, it's not enough. Perhaps everyone can pass the Emperor Fall Mountain and reach the foot of the Will Mountain, but they definitely can't get up the Will Mountain. If I didn't have enough fortune, I wouldn't be able to get up there. You went to Emperor Fall Mountain? What's going on? Li Kuan asked in shock. How did Yimo get in without the suppression of the immortal emperor formation? There's Will River, Will Bridge, and Will Mountain in the Emperor Fall Mountain. How Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage is at the peak of the Will Mountain. In the blink of an eye, my hair turned all white. Seeing Li Kuan looked at him, Yimo added, after a few days of cultivation, I cultivated it back. I'm saying this because it's very dangerous there. How can you go to Emperor Fall Mountain alone? It's said that no one can come out from there, you're too bold. Li Kuan's face was bad. Yimo felt a little awkward and Li Kuan said helplessly, Are you worried about me going to Emperor Fall Mountain and climbing the Will Mountain? Yimo immediately nodded. Yes. Don't trust those immortal emperors. They definitely can't suppress the mountain completely. Li Kuan smiled, You underestimate those emperor sects. Although many prodigies came and many may go into the mountain, I'm certain there won't be many prodigies going in. Those sects aren't dumb. They let their core disciple come just to participate in the Tao discussion, not to go in the Emperor Fall Mountain. Hearing this, Yimo finally breathed easy. There's actually not much to How Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage. It's only a How Heaven drum and an Emperor Tao crystal. What? You got the Emperor Tao crystal? Li Kuan asked Yimo shakily. Yimo nodded, yes, and some old jade slips too. Li Kuan shakily stopped Yimo. How can you say that? Stop talking. An Emperor Tao crystal was enough to flip the 33 heavens, and Yimo said it wasn't much. I know. Sister Shiyu, don't worry. I have spirit sense domain here, no one can hear us. Even if immortal Emperor spirit sense scans over, I can feel it. Yimo quickly explained. Li Kuan said carefully, no matter how confident you are, you can't casually expose that you got the Emperor Tao crystal. Do you know how many people would go crazy for it? I know, but I'm not interested in this, Yimo said. He smiled at Li Kuan, so, I came to you for one thing, and that is to give the Emperor Tao crystal to you. You're going to give the Emperor DOA crystal to me? Li Kuan stared at Yimo in a daze, her eyes were red. She truly considered Yimo a brother. She didn't know how Yimo thought before, but now, she realized that Yimo truly treated her as a sister too. If it wasn't so, He wouldn't tell her about the How Heaven heritage nor give the Emperor Dao crystal to her. Emo nodded. Yes, Sister 11U. I'm ONT interested in this. Thank you, brother. Likuan suddenly felt she wasn't alone in the immortal realm. At least she had a brother. Likuan then stopped Emo from continuing to give it to her brother. Tell me why you don't want it? Do you know that with this you can reach the peak of the immortal realm, reach the status everyone wants? There's not many immortal emperor in the 33 heavens, all because of how hard it is to become one. Then she looked at Emo without blinking. If she didn't get a certain answer, she wouldn't let Emo waste it. Emo smiled with extreme confidence. I will vindicate my own Tao. I definitely won't walk the Tao someone else walked. How Heaven Grand Emperor was just an immortal emperor. His Emperor Tao crystal would at most let a mortal monarch reach a mortal monarch. Meanwhile, his opponents were Tao Vindication Divine Emperors. If he can't even become an immortal emperor, how would he take on Divine Emperor? He might as well go into samsara. Okay. Likuan got up in excitement. Brother, you have your own god art. I knew you would vindicate your own Tao. Your mind state is much higher than mine. When I was thinking about how to get the Emperor Tao crystal to become immortal emperor, you already set your goals to Tao Vindication Divine Emperor. Emo smiled. Sister, you don't compliment me. I'm only a great extreme immortal primary stage now. I'm still far from immortal king, much less Tao Vindication. But that Emperor Tao crystal is indeed useless to me. Brother, I'm going to use you as my role model. I will walk my own Tao too. If I use the Emperor Tao crystal, I would be ending my own Tao. Maybe I will use it when I can't break through to immortal emperor. I might as well go samsara like you. I need to have the courage to seek my own Tao at least. Then Likuan looked at Emo seriously. You keep it. Don't give it anyone casually nor tell anyone. Even if you don't use it, it might be useful in the future. Okay. Since Likuan was going to vindicate her own Tao, Emo didn't force anything. Likuan's talent was very good. With some fortune, she can reach a mortal emperor. I also want to talk to you about something, Likuan said. Continue. Emo planned to go find a place for solitary cultivation in Jinshang Heaven. With his current resources, he would be able to reach Great Eternity Immortal. You said you're level 7 Immortal Pill Great Master Peak. How long would it take for you to reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master? Likuan asked. Emo thought and said, if I have level 7 Immortal Spirit Herb, I would only need a decade, but my pill concoction heritage is different to others. 1 or 2 years is possible. Emo said conservatively, if he had Immortal Spirit Herb, he would be able to reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master in a year. But who knows what might happen with pill concoction. He found that using Time Formation Disc was good, but if he didn't use Time Formation Disc, it was better for the learning of pill concoction and forgery. Likuan looked at Emo in a daze again. She thought that if Emo could reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master in a century, she could enact her plan. No matter how much she trusted Emo, she started to not believe Emo could reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master this quickly. Emo saw her look and knew she didn't believe him. Emo just released the Shin Nong Cauldron. Seeing this, Likuan's eyes narrowed. She couldn't tell what the grade of this cauldron was. Corner soul weed? Likuan saw it and felt her brother was very extraordinary. He always had things other people didn't have. In less than 5 minutes, a cauldron of spirit range dual spirit pill was before her. Only then did she realize Emo wasn't bluffing. Now do you believe me? Emo smiled. Likuan took a deep breath and said after a while, then I really earned big to be able to find a brother like you. Where did your corner soul weed come from? You must not spill, you have such things. Sigh, there's too many secrets you can't tell. Likuan shook her head. Emo didn't mind. He took out a few bottles of dual spirit pill and some dark weed and gave it to her. You can keep these. You have dark weed too? Likuan took them and nodded. She was a little immune to how insane Emo was. Likuan also took out a storage ring and gave it to Emo. It's some level 7 Immortal Spirit Herb inside. I asked for them from my master. Take it. Emo rejoiced. He lacked high-level Immortal Spirit Herb the most. Likuan definitely asked for these just for him. With these he can reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master in a short time. Are you going to find a place for solitary cultivation? Li Kuan could tell what Emo thought. Emo didn't hide it. Yes. Indeed, I will leave Chongrong heaven. I might go Jinshang heaven. Then we'll meet here 5 years later. I'm planning to go find Pengyu Immortal Fruit 5 years later. If you reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master, then come with me. You will need it anyways. Otherwise, even if I get Pengyu Immortal Fruit, I might not be able to get a E-King Pill. Li Kuan smiled. Sister Shiyu, you can find Pengyu Immortal Fruit? Emo asked in surprise and joy. He had no pressure reaching Great Eternity Immortal, but it wasn't easy to go from Great Eternity Immortal to Immortal King. The main reason was the lack of Pengyu Immortal Fruit. Pengyu Immortal Fruit is level 7 Immortal Spirit Fruit and a very rare one. It could be used to concoct E-King Pill. It's a pill necessary for the breakthrough to Immortal King. Should be fine, but we need to go together. Li Kuan nodded. Okay, 5 years later I will definitely be level 7 Immortal Pill Grand Master. Don't worry. Emo got up and said, if he could get E-King Pill, then he could break through to Immortal King. Then, he would immediately go back to Gonghua Heaven. He needed to take care of Lu Jingxuan. Otherwise, all those who ascend from Luo Yu continent won't have it easy. Do you still have immortal crystals? Li Kuan was about to give Emo another storage ring. Emo waved his hand. No need. I kill that Great Eternity Immortal. I got more than 100 million immortal crystals. Then Emo took out a new jade slip for Li Kuan's sister Shiyu. You can use this for cultivation. I'm going. Seeing Emo leave from the tower and then the city, Li Kuan felt her heart empty. She wanted to take him back to her sect to cultivate, but she realized he had too many secrets. Taking him back wasn't a good thing. So she could only watch him leave. She hoped she would be able to reach Immortal King 5 years later and protect him. When Emo had disappeared, she looked at the jade slip. Ancient Spirit Sense Cultivation Method. Spirit will 9 transformations? Li Kuan almost called out in shock. She didn't expect Emo gave her such precious thing. She had guessed Emo had Spirit Sense Cultivation Method, but didn't expect it was Spirit will 9 transformations. Her brother was too generous. He was willing to give anything. However, there only seemed to be the first 4 transformations, but that was completely enough for her. With this, she would have much greater chance of survival. Immortal Graveyard Range. The range spanned for a few 100 million kilometers. It was said that tens of millions of years ago, there was a heaven domain battle here. The armies of a few heaven domains attacked Jinshang heaven together. The final battle was at this immortal graveyard range. After that battle, the sky was dark red and tens of billions of immortals died here. The bodies were piled up to mountains. Later on, although the immortal spirit chi here was good, and there were many immortal spirit herb, very little immortals came. The yin chi here was too dense. Even immortals couldn't take it. Emo stood outside the range and felt the bleak wind strike him. The reason he came here was because the fragmented map Kai Feng Immortal King gave him was here. Ordinary immortals wouldn't be able to withstand the yin chi here at all. Emo cultivated the 3-birth chant and was immortal spirit body, but even so, he felt the power of the bleak wind. Perhaps no powerful being died here, but there were too many dead ordinary immortals. But this was the perfect place for Emo to go into solitary cultivation. He cultivated in the Golden Page world. Kai Feng Immortal King said there was very precious forgery materials here. If that material could upgrade Zisu again, it would be magnificent. The rainbow half-god art required a lot on Zisu itself. The higher level of Zisu, the higher the power. Emo flew towards the depth of the range. The deeper, the lesser people and the safer he was. For hours later, that bleak wind was making Emo shiver, and thus Emo stopped going forward. This wasn't the deepest part, but it was enough for his cultivation. If he really wanted to go deeper, he would just have to release Spirit Sense Domain, and the bleak chi would affect him minimally. Just when he wanted to go underground and enter the Golden Page world, he noticed Shadowless sent him a message. He wanted to come out. Emo didn't care. Shadowless could devour essence spirit. It was normal that he wanted to come out and devour souls. But many spirits here have formed intelligence. He warned Shadowless to be careful and threw him out. It was hard for Shadowless to evolve. It would benefit him if he devoured many spirits here. Shadowless told Yemo to rest assured and soon disappeared into the depth of the range. Yemo entered the earth and set up a few stealth restriction as well as a few void activation restrictions before going into the Golden Page world. He was going into a long solitary cultivation here. Then, Yemo took out the time formation disk inside the Golden Page world. He killed a Great Eternity Immortal middle stage and got nearly 100 million Immortal crystals. That Great Eternity Immortal middle stage was rather wealthy, but his magic artifacts was bad. The only decent one, the stone sword, was shattered by him. Inside the time formation disk, Yemo took out the Du Luo Heaven fruit immediately. One could only eat one. He got 6 and left 1 to Jin Bingyu. He still has 5 now. The Du Luo Heaven fruit melted in his mouth immediately into a fresh aromatic liquid. Before Yemo could taste it properly, powerful immortal spirit chi ravaged Aine's meridians. The terrifying power of this fruit made Yemo worry if Jin Bingyu could handle it. But soon, he didn't worry anymore. The magic about the Du Luo Heaven fruit was that it would release different amounts of power based on the person. Even if one couldn't digest it, it would be stored as potential in the body. But for Yemo, this was no problem. He washed in the ethereal immortal pond. His meridians were wide and body powerful. It had only been a day inside the time formation disk, but Yemo felt the Du Luo Heaven fruit's effects were fading, and yet he was still some distance away from Great Extreme Immortal middle stage. One fruit wasn't enough indeed. Yemo ate the second fruit without hesitation. Even though the difference was just 1 day, but the effect was clearly weakened. Yemo found that he was still that little bit from Great Extreme Immortal middle stage. Without hesitation, Yemo ate the third fruit. Rumble. His immortal essence had a qualitative change again. Yemo felt endless immortal essence rush over and his spirit sense grew another level stronger. Yemo breathed. He knew he had reached Great Extreme Immortal middle stage. Great Extreme Immortal middle stage. Yemo then set up a spirit-gathering immortal formation on the broken extreme grade immortal range. Even though it was broken, it was still 10 km long and the immortal spirit chi was extremely dense. It was countless times better than immortal crystals. After setting up the immortal formation, Yemo immersed into cultivation again, forgetting that Shadowless was still at immortal graveyard range. Immortal spirit chi cloud gathered in the Golden Page world, forming an immortal mist that grew thicker and thicker above Yemo's head. Then, it formed waves of immortal mist and rushed at Yemo. Yemo just kept using 3 birth chant to digest the immortal spirit chi. Time slowly passed, and when it had been 4 years outside the Golden Page world, Yemo had cultivated in the time formation disk for 400 years. Crack. The immortal spirit chi of the broken immortal range was dense and quite plenty, but it couldn't last Yemo's terrifying devour. When he broke through to Great Extreme Immortal tertiary stage and near Great Eternity Immortal peak stage, it dissipated. Yemo sighed. He finally understood the use of Du Luo Heaven fruit. It contained a lot of immortal spirit chi and top-grade nourishment, but it's mainly used for digging out the potential of immortals. Other immortals, after cultivating for a long time, would have hidden potential so they could use a fruit to break through a level. He was different. He cultivated the 3 birth chant and pretty much utilized all his potential. That's why his breakthrough was so hard, and even after he did, he devoured immortal spirit chi to supplement the lack of immortal spirit chi before he broke through. If he didn't use Du Luo Heaven fruit to reach Great Eternity Immortal middle stage, he was certain that he was be Great Eternity Immortal peak stage after devouring this entire immortal range. But even so, Yemo didn't mind. He was only 1 line away from Great Eternity Immortal peak stage. He still had tens of millions of immortal crystals. It should be enough for him to reach Great Extreme Immortal peak stage. Once he did, he would immediately break through to Great Eternity Immortal. Tens of millions of immortal crystals were used up too quickly for Yemo crack. Just when Yemo reached Great Extreme Immortal peak stage, those immortal crystals turned to dust. Not a single bit was left. Yemo shook his head helplessly. He was certain that if he didn't have pills too, these definitely wouldn't be enough. Now, Yemo immediately came out of the Golden Page world. He put away the surrounding formation flags and landed on the immortal graveyard range. As soon as Yemo came out, he sent out spirit sense blades. He really wanted to know if his spirit sense blades got stronger. Rumble. One casual blade hacked open a huge boulder that was 10 meters long. The surrounding bleak chi was split like a parted river. Emo nodded in satisfaction, thinking that since his spirit sense was so much stronger, the spirit sense blades have materialized. It seemed he could go find a place for divine damnation. The bleak chi seemed to know Yemo's power and didn't dare to gather back. Seeing this, Yemo suddenly thought of Shadowless. Shadowless was out for 4 years and just disappeared. Although Shadowless could rarely help him now, Yemo brought him from Earth and thus had a deep connection with him. He didn't want anything to happen to Shadowless. Yemo immediately began to search for Shadowless, and 15 minutes later, there was this faint mark emanating from the depth of the range. If Shadowless was fine, it would come back immediately when he called him, but now, it went deeper instead. Yemo's face sunk. He was certain that Shadowless was either captured or trapped. Yemo immediately released Blue Moon and shot out his spirit sense domain and flew into the depth of the Immortal graveyard range. Blue Moon flew faster and faster, and the Inchi grew heavier, but they were all blocked by Yemo's spirit sense domain. For hours later, Yemo stopped. 3 Great Eternity Immortal were not far ahead of Yemo. 2 women and 1 man. The man was very handsome and Great Eternity Immortal tertiary stage. The 2 women were a middle-aged beautiful woman and an extremely pretty young girl. The middle-aged woman was halfway Immortal King, and the pretty young girl was also Great Eternity Immortal tertiary stage. Shadowless was the young girl but restricted.